Hello everyone and welcome again to the London University Esports 2022 Winter Edition. Of course, today for the Grand Finals you are joined by myself, Takua and Cookie, for the final time of this series to provide you with content for the finals between LSE and Roehampton. How are you doing today, Cookie?
Oh, brilliant. I can't wait to see these two teams play against each other. They both performed really well in the group stages and the semi-finals, so I just want to see who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, of course, you'll be a very big showdown. Big prizes, of course, provided by all of our sponsors, New Meta, Monster Energy, the Federation, and Glitch Energy. Have a little bit more on that later, but if you are here in person, you know how many crates of Monster there are available, and many of those will be going to the victors alongside some RP and other goodies. But first, we have a few team rundowns, and today, with the coin flip having decided, Roehampton will be on blue side for the first game.
So on Roehampton's side, we have, I believe it's Singasaurus in the top lane, and there's Coral Cars in the jungle. We have Ice Blue in the mid lane, E in the bot lane, and NBA Oakboy in support.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, has performed amazingly well for the last few rounds and was a very tight series of the best of three versus Queen Mary to qualify to the finals, but they are here, of course, Roehampton being a relatively storied player in terms of LSE and more regional leagues, university leagues. NBA Boy last week really turning out, with the Pike especially, and I imagine that will get banned.
Yeah, it seems like NBA Boy really likes these playmaking champions, but you see NBA Boy on Renata Glass, very crucial champion that won them these semi-finals. So we might see that again. As we know, Renata Glass is a very good support champion, especially in team fights. So we'll have to see how they do these drafts.
Yeah, precisely. A lot of it will come down to draft, of course, but also execution, as we always like to say. There is an element, yeah, you have a draft advantage, but you still need to execute on the game. But we can talk a little bit more about that once we actually get into the pick ban. As for the moment, we still have the other team to run through, and of course, that would be LSE, although that is not actually quite LSE's graphic. Hold on a moment. That is LSE's graphic, and it is comprised of Nick, Remy, King Kendrick, LSE Dog, and Nacha.
Yeah, player to watch, definitely Remy. Remy on those carry champions in the jungle, absolutely terrifying everyone else on the Rift. So you better not let some carry junglers through. Should ban them out, or maybe Roehampton, having the blue side, will decide to just pick the most obnoxious carry jungler in this meta. So depends on how they draft, really, as we were saying.
But what this does set up is a big question as to where the priorities lie in the jungle. If you were watching last week the semi-finals, Remy was on the Kha'Zix with that Jack Show, the new item, and the updated Ravenous Hydra. I think it was 17-1 by the end of the game, and that Void Bug was devouring pretty much every enemy within sight.
Yeah, when these carry junglers get ahead, it's very hard to stop them, especially with all the kind of Omnivamp healing with the new item, the Ravenous Hydra. Well, not new per se, but how a slight reworked item, giving you that snowball potential. A lot of AD bruiser junglers really want to go for that item, and I expect them to be built this game too.
Yeah, precisely. A lot of preseason itemization has been seen all over the place. I mean, the Heartsteel's maybe not had quite as much impact within this tournament per se, but it has very much been that jungle focus, and actually a lot of bot side as well, I would say. I mean, if we look at last game, we've already talked about NBA Hookboy's Pike a little bit, but NBA Hookboy in general on roaming hook champions, as the name might suggest, were pivotal to Roehampton being able to nail that best of three last week.
Yeah, absolutely. We can see that they have LSE and Roehampton have two different playstyles. Roehampton does like to have this roaming support, but LSE play a bit more safe in the bot lane, play a bit more of a carry-oriented champions like the Jinx. LSE Dog really likes the Jinx, so we have to see that if this time are we gonna pair the Jinx with the Enchanter to try to allow LSE Dog to carry, or are we just gonna pick something like Nautilus, which they have done, and try to mash the roaming potential of Hookboy?
Yeah, I mean, Nautilus always nice with a depth charge as well, just to single out a target. Mid lane often being the target for many runes this tournament so far, but mid lane also very important for both sides. Seen LSE's Vex come out a few times, if I'm not mistaken, to really great success, actually just being able to lane gap opponents, and likewise with Roehampton, when they were allowed to play the Akali mid, oh boy, it popped off.
Absolutely, I believe Ice Blue do like those melee champions in the mid lane, playing something like Silas, Akali, Aurelia in the semi-finals. So we will see maybe some mid lane plays, a lot of mid lane focus perhaps, combined with, say, Hook Boy or jungler support to break out that mid lane, like to snowball from there.
Yeah, there have been a fair few AP mids, of course, also on that side, but that's just because you had the AD jungles as well to try and balance out the damage frames. Again, AD jungles being quite common at the moment on both sides, of course, maybe slightly different champion pools if we make a bit of a comparison. LSE on the Hecarim and the mentioned Kha'Zix, Hecarim multiple times nowadays, and then Rengar and Graves a little bit different.
Yeah, it's both teams have a slightly different champion pool, I would say. The only thing that's in common would be like the mid lane Azir Syndra, that the control mages that everyone kind of plays. But otherwise, they have vastly different champion pools. In that case, we will see a lot of targeted bans, I assume, and maybe perhaps some takeaway picks, just so that the other player is not able to play their preferred champion. But we have to see how game one goes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that it is kind of down to draft when it comes down to simply being able to analyze what both teams wish to do within the game. But also, first game can set a lot of precedents, because when you have the first game of the best of 5, because this is grand finals and it's a best of 5 series, you sometimes don't want to test out some champions that might be a little bit more volatile, a little bit more dependent on maybe opponents making mistakes, or you being able to skill check them and then making adjustments as the series progresses.
Yeah, usually in the first game of best of 5, don't really want to show all of your hand. Even though we have played a lot of group stages and semi-finals games, these teams might still have one ace or two up their sleeve. So they really do want to just say, okay, we will just play our usual playstyle and see later on, do we have to change things up?
Yeah, definitely. You can hide some of the comfort picks, or potentially things that might be a little bit off kilter to the regular in the back for when you absolutely need them, and we definitely saw that coming out last time with the Evelyn. Of course, now LSE will be aware that Roehampton does have that in their arsenal, but that Evelyn with the Magi stacks last week was also huge.
Yeah, it was quite disgusting. Evelyn, as we all hate and love in solo queue, is that champion that have that invisibility that needs you to play around it. Both teams have to play around this. The team with Evelyn needs to look for these isolated picks. The team playing against Evelyn needs to be warding meticulously and using those deduction skills to see where Evelyn actually is. So it is a mini game as of itself, and I don't expect it to come again, given that Evelyn is quite a I wouldn't say a cheese pick, but quite an off-meta pick. But you know, when push comes to shove, they might pull it again.
If you really need to assassinate backliners, or if your team is lacking AP damage, in some respects can certainly be worthwhile, but I have to wait and see whether that is going to be the angle of the game. But nevertheless, it is something that LSE does have to take into account. And of course, Roehampton has to do a very similar thing. I think particularly with Remy's champ pool, I think is going to be the main thing there to target out. But of course, don't really want to put behind Nick either, because whilst Nick is known for being more of a weak side player, we saw the Aatrox come out last week to pretty good success.
Absolutely. Aatrox is one of still the strongest champions given, even with the preseason item changes. Just basically heals a lot, and basically is a very good teamfight champion in terms of just having the survivability and having the AoE damage, the AoE CC. Everything you want for your top laner, basically. So I do expect the Aatrox to be a contested pick. We see only Nick has played it. I don't think the other top laner has played it. But Aatrox should be, by now, everyone knows how to play Aatrox.
Oh yeah, I mean, after the rampage Aatrox went on at Worlds, I think that's quite an obvious pick for people to understand at this point, especially with King pretty much going on, going Super Saiyan in the finals of that with the Aatrox. Or even the DRX skin to come out in the future. I think King did confirm that it would be the Aatrox coming on to that one, but very excited to see how the series starts.
Yeah, I want to see a nice Aatrox skins. I am an Aatrox enjoyer much before like it was popular, but that was when they have the revive on Aatrox. Still, Aatrox does the same thing. So before when Aatrox had the revive, it basically is kind of an unstoppable force because you can't kill Aatrox because he revived, and you can't ignore Aatrox. At the same time, in the current iteration, if Aatrox secures a flank, it's very pretty much the same thing because you can't kill the Aatrox and you can't ignore it.
Absolutely that. For the moment though, we got a few people in the venue right now, so we're going to cut it over to pre-game interview to get the hype right from where the action started.
Thank you very much there. And yep, we are going to get some of our trash talking going just whilst we're getting set up, but this is the finals. We have to go all out. So here I have from Roehampton. So yeah, so how are you feeling? Are you a bit nervous? This is the finals. This is where winner takes all. Are you feeling a bit nervous?
I'm not really feeling too nervous. Like, I think it's going to be a quick, easy win, 3-0. That's my...
Ooh, it's a bit of trash talk. 3-0. Have your team been practicing, been looking at the VODs as from for the last few games that they've had, especially for LSE? They have been quite dominant. They brought up with LSE. They used able to take them out, but you were the guys that was able to take out Queen Mary. So that's one thing you have over LSE. But LSE have been quite dominant in the fight. So have you got a few strategies going into this fight?
I mean, not really. We didn't go through any VODs, no practice. We just went to have a nice drink before the game, relax, nothing too serious.
So you're going in with that chill vibe, you know, make sure that you have no nerves. So when you go in there, you're going to be feeling quite confident. So with these first few matches coming up, have you guys got sort of an idea for yourselves, or are you just going to play what you did normally, played like last week?
I mean, our idea is to 3-0 them. I got a date with a girl, so I have to end it early. I mean, no strategies that much.
Well, I hope the date with you and your girl go well, and are you going for a cheeky Nando's?
No, not cheeky Nando's, not today.
To be fair, I kind of think it's overrated, but yeah, I hope the date goes well, and I hope the matches go well altogether. So I'm now going to cut it to a team of LSE, where they're going to also do some trash talking. But have you got any final words for LSE and the viewers watching?
I say good luck and hope for the best. Hopefully it's a good games.
That's all we hope for is a good game, and we want it to be a little bit close. We don't want just a 3-0, even though your girl might be waiting, but we want it to be as close as we can. Alright, so I'll let you guys go get set up and get ready for the match. And now I'm going to bring in from LSE. You may know him from last week where he was getting those massive kills. I believe it was about 19 kills at the end of that.
No. That was the other guy.
Oh, sorry, my bad. But yeah, how are we feeling about going into this match?
I think we're pretty confident. We've watched our matches against our past matches and looked at their past matches. They only won their series 2-1 barely because the other team screwed up. I mean, for us, 3-0 UCL pretty easy. 2-0 UCL pretty easily. And UCL did beat Roehampton, so I mean, I think we'll be okay.
Oh yeah, no, but you mentioned they did, so they did have quite a tough fight, and it seems like you guys are going a bit more in depth. Roehampton, they're going for the laid-back approach, having a few drinks. Apparently he's got a date later, but it seems like you guys sort of have this advantage because you've been actually looking and seeing making sure that they have the right bands and right picks. So are you confident going into these next few matches?
Yeah, I think our draft went alright. And the thing is, we've played against them in another tournament before as well. We beat them as well. Ooh. So I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Generally speaking, our early game quite a lot stronger than them as well.
Yeah.
I think we'll do well.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Now I'm going to let you guys go get set up and get ready for the first match. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope it's a great match.
All right, great. Thanks, appreciate it.
No worries. Right, I'm going to send it back to the casters now as we get ready for the next match, and we want to thank all the sponsors to making this event possible.
Thank you so much to Brilliant Frame for that interview. Players absolutely hyped up, and this is very correct in that LSE were able to beat UCL fairly handedly last week with a 2-0 victory, whilst Roehampton did lose to UCL beforehand, but we know that these triangles don't necessarily always work.
Yeah, I totally agree. Given that Queen Mary, I thought they were one of the contenders. They're one of the strongest team out of all the teams here. So Roehampton beating Queen Mary is actually quite an achievement, I believe. And hope they can ride this momentum and meet up to the challenge of LSE.
Yeah, precisely that, everyone. Still getting in the lobby should be on pick and ban relatively soonish once all the players are settled down, of course, playing on in-person setups, so it's not necessarily going to be the comfort of their homes. But you think by now, of course, they'd be quite used to the PCs this time. Hopefully, no surprise ghosting technology on the side of Roehampton this time. There's a slight hiccup with the support of Roehampton somehow having their summoners used without actually touching the keyboard, which was quite spooky.
It was very spooky indeed, and I'm like, how did that actually happen? I don't think we had a precise answer for that, but hopefully all of them are doing fine now, and the matches will proceed as normal.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we don't even know. It's a mystery to all of us here at New Meta, of course. But the issue should be resolved this time, and hopefully there are no issues. But of course, it is League of Legends at the end of the day, so every now and again there might be something wrong with the client, but that is just normal operations, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with the spectator client, I'm just glad that it doesn't crash every time. Like, I'm just glad that it's still working. We can still watch these games.
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's been an improvement over time compared to what it used to be. I think in the past, spectator client has been even less stable than it currently is, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, you never know. Like sometimes it just doesn't work, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think we're glad that we have seen most of these games running quite smoothly so far, and very glad to see all these university students just coming out to a in-person venue. Something that we haven't seen since COVID, really. The last in-person event I attended before this one would be before COVID, so 2018, 2019. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, the opportunity to get people out in person to come and actually spectate is a great thing for esports as a whole. I mean, it's part of the community experience that you get having it. Of course, I'm hoping everyone currently here spectating in New Meta is enjoying the swaves of monster cans that we actually have as well. Of course, due to our lovely sponsor, Monster Energy. Plenty of flavors and swaves in person. Great stuff. Any predictions, though, for the finals so far? Any predictions in terms of maybe a specific champion you'd like to see, or even just the result in the end?
Oh, that I would say it's 3-1 LSE. I would say. I do think LSE has shown that they're very stable. They're not super flashy, but they have very strong top side of the map. And honestly, that kind of wins them a lot of games. I think they can probably continue the trend, given that junglers have quite some power in this new season patch. So I think they will edge out in the end.
All right. Should be interesting to see. I'm not sure. I feel like LSE might in some games today. We saw that before, of course, Inting slightly versus Queen Mary a few weeks back. Yeah, they played a pretty clean game versus UCL. We'll have to wait and see. But Roehampton, quite a sorry team in terms of just raw experience, so might end up going to 5 games. There's definitely potential for that.
Yeah, I'm not counting out Roehampton at all. I mean, they have shown us that they have quite a wide champion pool. They've played a lot of different champions from top lane to bot lane. We do see some interesting picks like Mundo, which I still haven't really seen the actual potential of it, but I really like the mid lane picks of different melee champions, which basically means that we have basically more skirmishes to watch for, basically.
I mean, yeah, games have been incredibly skirmish heavy throughout the entire tournament. Fairly expected, though, with the current preseason in terms of what champions are generally running around the place. I mean, I think the Hecarim we've talked a little bit about so far, but the ability to be able to counter gank efficiently while still having a good clear. Yes, every jungler's clear is fairly good right now with the little Pokemon starters that you get in the jungle, but of course, been particularly prevalent this tournament, also for the CC potential that you have with the Onslaught of Shadows as well.
Yeah, as much as I love the pony, I do think that is a must ban. Hecarim, as strong as he is, I think out of the 3 bans that Roehampton get, one of them will be Hecarim, unless they're looking to first pick the Hecarim. But we still have a lot of other champions to look out for. We did see the Kazakhs from Remy, so that's like something to look for. And the Coral Cause do play quite a range of AD champions, including the Rengar, the Graves, which I think might come out again.
Yeah, Grace actually a contested pick as well. Remy maybe I think played it only one time this tournament so far, but it is a champion that Remy is actually known for outside of this tournament regardless, and has been banned quite a lot versus LSE as well. So that actually might end up being a contested pick early on in draft, depending on how the series decides to play itself out. Again, we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, and top lane wise, we do see quite a few different champions played. Interestingly, Roehampton do play the Darius. Darius, one of the most hated champions in League of Legends if you are a top laner. I think there is potential to play Darius and play a more topside heavy game where you just try to exert your kill pressure from top lane across the map. Obviously, Darius not as good as team fight in the late game because you get kited pretty hard, but it really depends on what teams want. Otherwise, you can go back to the Ornn. The Ornn is always it's quite good in this patch, especially with the with how the tank items updated. You have kind of like a few options of what you want to do. You can go for the Iceborne Gauntlet for a bit more training potential. You can go for Heartsteel for the health stacking. You can also go for the Radiant Virtue if you want to be more of a team player. And also, just on upgrades, it's just free gold and also long range engage, which is like the kind of standard top lane over the years on. So it can be something to look out for, but it might just be countered by something like Fiora or even something like a Camille. These carry champions do demolish those tanks. So it really depends on, in the end, what your team wants to do, right? So if you want to play side lane heavy, Roehampton, I think they might look for that, given that their mid lane do like to play those Akalis, those Aurelias. For LSE, I do expect them to play a more traditional front-to-back teamfight comp, where you have like strong frontliners, maybe like bruisery frontliners, like, you know, the Aatrox, the Hecarim, and then you just like kind of play your front to back with your Jinx and perhaps a Nautilus or some enchanter in the back. In the end of the day, we don't know what these teams have in their pockets, and I'm just excited to see if they bring out something new.
Yeah, precisely. A lot to play for, remember. It is the Grand Finals after all, and we did run through the prize a little bit. Just to give you a little recap though, of course, we have a lot of cans in person, and many of those cans will be going towards the players. More specifically, 100 cans between each of the winners, which means that it's going to be 20 to each of you. That is a lot of energy, a lot of caffeine, of course, to power through your gaming throughout the week. And also, a bunch of riot points between the winners, £150 total between the team, and also glitch energy vouchers as well. So even more caffeine and energy for your gaming needs.
What's your record? How many monsters have you drunk, like, in a row?
In a row? I'm a bit, I don't know, I'm not the biggest, you know, monster consumer in one day. I like to spread things out, but I think last year I had a bit of a streak where I think I might have had 3 or 4, but that was a one-off.
Yeah, I do not. I mean, even as a sponsor, I do not recommend consuming too much monster in a row. I do have some bad memories from consuming way too much. It's like, oh, there's a lot of monsters in my home, might as well just have them. And we do have to take things in moderation. Monsters, as tasty as it is, it's not. It is an energy drink in the end. Just have to take everything in moderation, and you'll be chilling.
Yeah, drink responsibility when it comes. Drink responsibility? Yes, drink responsibility. No, drink responsibly with all things when it comes down to not just caffeine, but also other things you might like to consume. the general rule of thumb, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just just don't have too much. I believe the players are they all given like free monsters before the game, or
Yeah,
you have to win it?
You know what it is. You give them a little taste of victory, right? So let them choose their flavor and like, oh, I want the watermelon or mango, right? Okay, you give them the one before the game. You get them energized, and you're like, oh yeah, if I win, I get to have even more of that. So you know part of what you're playing for. However, I do believe now, after a little bit of time, we are finally into the Picking Bans Grand Finals Game 1, and first ban of the game will be the Aatrox.
Yeah, Aatrox, a very strong top laner. I'm not surprised. And the pike taken away from Hookboy as well, which is normal. And we have Shen coming out, which is one of Nick's favorite champion.
Yeah, Nick, pretty well known for the Shen, has been played an awful lot by LSE. Able to support the bot side whilst being able to provide fairly good dueling for most of the top side teams as well. Ornn will be the first pick, however, and that will be answered by the Set and the Nautilus on the side of LSE. Nautilus, of course, as we've mentioned out, is a pick that has been played a lot by LSE to be able to single target down champions, and in this case, the Draven is not really a champion that really wants to be hit by depth charge.
Ooh, Roehampton going for Draven. I really like this. Playing a super aggressive bot lane together with a Renata Glass. Draven can be quite fearless in its, running up and hitting people with an axe. And Rengar comes out, hitting the Cold Cast champion pool.
There it is. Not going to be on the table at all. Don't want Jinx to be executed in the slightest. Lilia, a little bit of a different ban. I don't think I've seen Remy running around on the deer just yet. But as for response on the side of LSE, I'm just waiting. I feel like there may end up being a bit of a Belveth angle. Something that Remy brought out really early on. Yeah, Pekarim off the table as well. I have to wait and see.
Yeah, Belveth look quite spicy, but they go with the Wukong. So Wukong is one of those jungle champions that we haven't seen that often, but it has there is a mixed bag of reports that I've seen. So some people say Wukong is pretty good, is up there with one of the best champions, but some people say Wukong, is not back in the S tier meta yet. So we have to see the performance this game, and we have Azir Syndra in the mid lane, which is quite a standard mid lane, and a Trundle coming out from Roehampton.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see exactly what happens here, because one thing about the Wukong, just to build on this point a little bit, is that in the past meta, before the jungle rework in the preseason, one big problem with Wukong is if you didn't get an early lead, your clear was just really stunted. Difference is now, with the jungle pets, I just don't think your clear is nearly as stunted as it used to be, and you can kind of take the sacrifice to say, yeah, I'm going to go around and gank a little bit. But we will have to wait to see if Remy can actually make anything happen with the ganks, as we saw with, I think it must have been Goldsmiths previously, where their Wukong was trying to go around and actually gank as many lanes as possible, but despite attempting to gank, they didn't get any sort of notable lead off of those ganks, and as a result, they did just get out-pressured on the map.
Yes, absolutely. Wukong does have to choose between either covering bot lane against the hyper-aggressive Draven Renata, or trying to exert some kill pressure in the top lane. Trundle has a lot more freedom though. Trundle, being a strong jungler in the early game, does beat out the Wukong in the early game. Just can basically choose to do anything he pleases. One pillar on the Syndra, that is Syndra's flash. You can go top and try to terrorize the Set as well. Set doesn't have a dash, doesn't get out of the pillar as well. Jinx, obviously, again, another champion without a dash. So a lot of targets for Trundle to terrorize.
Yeah, I mean, Trundle having a really, really nice time this game. Pillar as well, potentially able to set up a lot. Bit of a frustrating ability to deal with if used correctly, of course. And the melee champions, you can subjugate some people down. Just looks like a fairly strong pick this game. We'll wait and see where Discord decides to dedicate its resources. Although the bot lane should also be another interesting point. NBA Hopeplace Renata, we haven't talked maybe enough about, but I think we did mention the Darius beforehand, and the amount of bailouts that Hopeboy has gotten away with has been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's Renato, one of those champions that is really annoying to play against because you have to calculate, oh, I have to kill the bailout target as well. You either kind of leave the bailout target alive, or you just have to like push much more damage than you would ideally want to. So, Lil Durk will have so much fun just running around, hitting people with axes, not being as afraid as being one shot by either the Syndra or the Wukong.
So I say that Syndra again. We've talked about Syndra many, many a time, but in the current preseason patch, with the extra sort of fragments that you get with Syndra, you get the execute now on your ultimate as well. Enhanced abilities when you hit a certain amount of fragments. Huge, huge execution potential, of course. Bailout there to potentially mitigate that a little bit, but versus Draven and even the Azir, these squishy targets, you have to be very, very careful about those Dark Spheres.
Yeah, Syndra is like one of those champions that counter these um, AD carries basically. Like
Yeah.
one combo can deal like up to like 1.5 your HP bar basically. Like it's quite ridiculous how much single target damage Syndra can push out. On the other hand, Azir is one of those champions that we've seen a lot of times can be playmaking or can just sit back and deal out a lot of AoE damage. So, scaling wise, I would say they're quite similar, but it's hard to compare because they do slightly different things.
Yeah, it's not quite an equal balance as far as that's concerned. Roam's also very important for both sides of the mid matchup, wherever those will end up going. If anything, if there is any sort of trend throughout the entire tournament, it would be that mid roaming to bot, alongside a little bit of jungle support to help secure objectives. Notably, Drake stacking hasn't always been on, happening very early within games, but it certainly has been happening. Although, as we are currently loading in, we're going to go to a quick technical break to get all the games synced up for you. Alright. Here we are. Onto the Rift once more. There was a slight game pause from the teams themselves, but we are here finally. The first game of the best of 5 for the finals, and Spectator Client's going to do the little thing where it trolls you after the pause ends. But it'll resume shortly.
Yeah, I'm not even surprised. I've met these situations too many times, and there we go.
Back to your scheduled programming. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, everyone. First of 5 times, potentially. Or at least a minimum of 3 today. LSE Dog giving us the thumbs up. Pretty standard starts for the team so far. No invades as of yet, and no significant warding going down just yet either. Aside from the bot brush, of course, the middle brush down here, always the target that you want to have, just to be able to help you get the extra vision for the lane. Helps you a lot.
Yeah, both teams playing quite conservatively. Given it's game 1, I guess it's a bit of a testing of the waters. Looks like Trundle, the Colocos, is going to start the bot side, and so is Remy. Nope, that what I said is just fake news. Remy is going to start on his red buffs to the top side, and there might be a cheeky late invade from the Colocos in the bot lane.
There is the super coming out. 3 members. Roehampton going in. There is no information on this just yet. So let's see. Actually, do not know about the invade. If they come to lane late, depends on the angle they come from. I don't think they've been spotted out by the red ward in the river just yet, though.
Yeah, sometimes those wards have to be slightly careful. I know the Pixel Brush ward is quite popular, whether solo queue or just professional, but these things happen. These things happen when you can just walk past the ward. Bot lane getting a bit of... Top lane and bot lane both are just trying to trade a bit early on.
Any sort of health advantage you can get early on can certainly lead to potentially a kill, some range of lethal depending on jungle pressure as well, but seems like Remy still isn't quite aware of what's going on in spot side jungle, so if he does decide to path down to those walls, it will be greeted by the fact that those wolves will no longer be there, as there is engagement. Level 2 for Roehampton, however, means they will force out LSE's Flash and Cleanse from the Jinx this early on, which is a huge advantage for a lane like the Renata and the Draven.
Absolutely. Fighting is not what Jinx does. Oh, never mind. Another hook comes in.
Response is still there. I mean, Deskaro is level 3 and available. Wave crashing down. There is potentially the dive angle. We'll be backing off as the Wukong is revealed bot side as well. Although, there might be a crash down onto Remy. Goes straight onto MB and Hookboy, but damage comes down. LSE looking for a first blood. Flash Q from the Wukong will secure that one. Lil Durk next on the plate. Remy unable to go down, yet the healing and the armor from the Wukong just a little bit too much. And I think Descaro's going to go down to a double kill for LSE. 3 kills total, and what ended up being an amazing play for Roehampton, initially getting turned straight back on its head.
Wow, such a great cover by Remy there. And also, Wukong surviving so long on such little health. The health regen from the passive is massive. And this swings the game towards LC's favor by a lot. Jinx on 102 now. Just gonna accelerate this Jinx towards his first mythic.
I mean, you think with the start that Remy had, not having access to any of his bot side, clearing top side, not invading at all, of course being harder to invade right now, path straight down, recognizes, okay, fine. Trundle's probably still down there. They want to look for a dive because they've just taken my ADC's sum, so you know what? I'm going to go bail them out, salt them out of a gank, and ended up giving 3 kills over the team and 2 to yourself. So huge lead for the Wukong, and we did say that the Wukong really does want a lead this early on in the game.
Yeah, Wukong definitely the strongest member on the game right now. Having that Sheen and that longsword basically just demolishes everyone it sees. And oh, the Colocast trying to get Kess.
Yeah, the Hex Flash enables him to actually get a flash as well from Kez as well. Amazing use of the rune that we took there. Kez having to recall right now. We'll be burning a TP to get back to lane very shortly, I imagine, on the Syndra, but really nice to get Ice Blue a little bit more of a breathing room for this early game.
Yeah, absolutely. As we were saying, the Trundle pillar is so impactful in this early game. Can force out summoners really easily. Never mind, Remy is top lane.
Alright, still on half health. Wukong though, two items ahead basically. With the Sheen, flash away from the Facebreaker, so nothing more to come from that.
dive come in bot lane?
Yep, that is a dive indeed. Chomp onto LSE Dog. I mean, Kisker is going to take a little bit of tower aggro, juggled by Dirk. TP as the response very early on by Nick. He'll be sacrificing top a little bit here, but now Desco is potentially in no man's land. Syndra able to land the scatter, not quite because Oxford's region trolled the mid a little bit, but the Trundle will still go down, I think. One more auto should do the trick. Maybe Remy's going to end up collecting it at this point. Yeah, I think the Wukong Bonk's going to come through. Remy now 3-0-1.
Yeah, ideally you want to give it to Kez, but not bad on Remy as well, given that Wukong is already accelerated. Having a Wukong basically dominating the Rift can be one of the win conditions, having these like AD Bruiser carries trying to snowball the game. Try a bit of freeze here, Roehampton, trying to get as much lead as they can in the bot lane against the weaker Jinx Nautilus bot lane. Even though they're behind, Draven Renata still very, very strong. A lot of damage coming out. It can come out.
I mean, it's 6 minutes in the game. If the Jinx is able to contest a Draven Renata at 6 minutes in the game, then something has gone dramatically wrong for LSE for that to even be a possibility. Lil Dirk still able to throw out those axes, get those adoration stacks up, and deny farm from LSE Dog very successfully. Slight CS lead and advantage, but Remy here getting caught out by Roehampton, getting incredibly low here. Disco are going to keep swiping down onto it. Will be the shutdown kill, returned by, of course, the balls from Kez, so will be a 1-for-1. The Oxford region getting very low in the boss.
Yeah, Remy overstepping a bit there, giving a shutdown towards Ice Blue, so not the greatest play from LSE there. So in the end, LSE is still having a 1k gold lead, and what surprises me is actually Singosaurus doing very well in this top lane against the set who's supposed to be a counter.
Exactly. LSE Dog in trouble though. I feel like you should have just backed straight out this tower, flash away. Draven should have one more auto down. Will get a kill, although he can no longer get bailed out, so will actually just be a 1-for-1. I'm not entirely sure if that is worth. You did clash in those adoration stacks, so it's not terrible for Little Dirk alongside the wave crash, but not necessarily the result you would have wanted.
Yeah, I do think for Roehampton, fighting is not the worst thing, given that you have to utilize this Draven Renata somehow. Otherwise, you're gonna lose on the scaling. Obviously, the outcome not the most ideal, but good try nonetheless.
So fortunately, as you did mention, Stegosaurus somehow winning the all matchup at the moment. Slight CS lead there, very nice to have, to not really worry about the top side being an issue. Game going to proceed as usual, but LSE securing the first streak will be that Infernal very shortly into their hands.
Yeah, this is starting the Dragon stack fairly early at around 8 minutes. That could be one of the win conditions for LSE, but again, against a Draven Renata bot lane, Roehampton is bound to get 1 or 2 dragons. Never mind, Ice Blue in trouble.
Unfortunately, Ice Blue did not flash correctly, still got hit by the Scatter of the Week, and there's the collapse from LSE, of course. Another kill.
Yeah, very good play by LSE. Just noticing that, you know, we can attack this Azir with a 3-man gangbang, basically. That really helps the Syndra, because Syndra is one of those champions, although having the scaling, we don't want to get ahead. Top lane, a bit of a fight, though.
Yep, Remy available to provide a little bit of assistance, should be enough to take down Stegosaurus alongside the Cyclone. Too much CC for the Ornn to deal with.
Yeah, and also too much damage. Remy at 5-1 and 2 right now.
A very big monkey.
Yeah, approaching to get his Sundra, I assume. Lil Dirk trying to collect some more plates here, trying to assert even more pressure into the LSE bot lane.
Flash coming out from Nick on the top side as well, maybe making a mistake versus the Trundle there. Not really wanting to expend that summon. And Nick, not necessarily looking the most comfortable this game 1 as compared to some past games, but you know, it's just a warm-up.
It is a warm-up game per se. Both teams probably didn't really play the league in the afternoon, I assume, given that you have a BO5 ahead. You need some rest, and we can see Remy starting off the Herald now, and it might be uncontested.
Ornn is available to roam down. The problem is Ice Blue kind of has to get priority first, and since Wukong is pretty far ahead currently, as you say, 5-1 and 2, should just be the Herald secured. You don't really want to sacrifice too much over it. It's still just a first Herald after all. Nice if you can get it, but it's really not the end of the world if it does go over to the enemy team.
It'll be interesting to see where does Remy decide to put down this Herald, because that will signify what kind of lane does does LSE really want to focus on. I assume it will be the mid lane, given that it's at 4 platings already, and also having the mid lane open can allow you to do more things into Roehampton's jungle, especially with Remy having such a lead. You want to exploit that lead.
So I see one nice thing about junglers being ahead is being able to basically make the rest of your team proxy fed by ganking their lanes. With a head jungler, you have that extra damage, give a kill over, and then the rest of your team also gets ahead. We'll have to wait to see Remy actually enact that.
Oh, Remy in bot lane though.
A lot of pings coming out. Nothing actually going to happen just yet. 4 members of Roehampton still around. LSE calls off the play.
Yeah, nothing happened in the very end. Interesting to see that Nick actually going for the hard steal. And I do understand the reason behind, but ooh, I think a lot of damage the Coco cause.
Yeah, maybe if he stayed in for one more Dark Sphere, there's an angle where he could unleash power. The rest of that, but nothing gained, nothing lost, really.
Yeah, top lane a bit more of a like just trading. As I was saying, hard steal on said, not the worst item, but also you kind of lose out on like this kind of Remy might be in trouble. Have the Cyclone out.
I mean, steal the red buff. Indeed, there's the Mega Death Rocket. Deskaro going into the Bella has to kill Remy really quickly, unable to do so. Draven next on the plate. Will get one shot down. There comes the hostile takeover onto 3. LSE really in trouble. The shuffle will only land onto 1, but any kills that Roehampton can get are positive. Hookboy goes down in the aftermath, and the Scatter the Weak should be enough to get them out. Azir, no E in sight, and it's a trade of 2 for 2.
Yeah, overall 2 for 2, but you would expect that Remy being this fed Wukong should be able to do a little more, but 2 for 2 is a good result for Roehampton, especially getting the Draven ahead, having this the Eclipse and building towards the second item now.
I mean, the Draven did get the shutdown gold coming off the Wukong, a bonus bounty of 250 on top of course, the extra Adoration gold that you do get on top of that. Now with the Eclipse completed, working towards the Essence Reaver next, Draven getting so much more gold out of this.
Yeah, even though Draven is stunted early game, Draven could still be quite a menace in the mid game. So we can see that happen maybe if Lil Durk keep getting more kills in the next, say, 5 minutes or so. Dragon spawning soon though.
Have to be very careful. Roehampton looking to try and get priority in the spot side. Azir now pushing out the mid wave as well to do the same thing. Remy will be in position though, so Ice Blue having to be careful to not get caught out. There comes the engage. No Cyclone just yet. Ice Blue will escape with the dash, but now on 25% or roundabout.
Yeah, Kess not having the ultimate there, otherwise that would have just been a kill. Remy putting down a Herald in the mid lane and going for the dragon, so as a kind of a distraction to help with the dragon, but decided not to start it right away though.
Seem to recognize that the bot side has no priority on your team right now, and they will roam to you first, and they currently are in the mid river. Kez in a lot of trouble as the collapse comes through. Unleash power though, and his response, and Kez will go down, will be a 1-for-1 trade so far. Remy now straight onto the backline. NBA Hookboy next on the target. Goes down to a Little Dirk, still alive though. Depth charge gonna go down. Wukong, there's the anchor to follow, and Little Dirk now in a little bit too much trouble. Rest of Roehampton will then follow, and that will be the Drake secure for LSE.
Yeah, quite a messy fight, but it turned out very well for LSE. Like the gold lead is now, well, it's not that much, it's around 2.5k, but now LSE having the 2 dragons, the ticking time bomb of stacking dragons is more imminent for Roehampton now, and it will be Hextech. It will be a Hextech Drake, I believe. Yes, it is a Hextech map and Hextech soul.
2 Drakes already, a little gold lead secured, 2.5k or roundabouts for LSE right now. Most of the gold being in the jungle, some of it shared alongside of course bot and mid. Again, X in the Remy basket as per your usual program.
Yeah, so everything is going quite well for LSE in that regards. Having this Wukong up ahead is what LSE is exactly what LSE wants. Knowing that Remy can make plays, can lead the front in this fight, having like such a big goal lead, now completing the death dance as well, making Wukong that much more unkillable.
Smite almost complete. That Moss Stomper shall be transforming the Smite soon. About 4 stacks left to go on that one. That's where clearing out a little bit of vision. Roehampton right now really should be looking to try and group around, maybe get a pick onto some targets. You can see that LSE Dog and Remy both have nice little bounties. Getting the spot side tower is also quite nice for little dirt. More money into the Draven, always good as your main damage threat right now.
Yes, absolutely, and I guess Roehampton's plan might be Roehampton can't really wait. They really want to use this Draven to do some fights, but at the same time, you're facing against this like really ahead Wukong, so it makes the fights really hard to play. You might have to try to find somewhere where you know the Wukong is not and try to make a skirmish there. But obviously, LSE knows that they want to play with Remy, and they would probably just not allow any place without Remy's presence.
Well, speaking of Remy's presence, that is in the top side right now. Roehampton seem to be recognising that and rotating as such. LSE's rotation will be a little bit slower, so Roehampton might have a window here to go onto the Wukong Deskro. Make an attempt. There goes down the terrain. For the Forge God to follow. No one CC just yet. Remy locked up. Split fight right now. Oxford Reject will be the initial focus. Shuffle onto 3. Oxford Reject getting low will be the first to kill them. House-style takeover is massive. Hits 2 down. Remy now getting incredibly low. Chase to follow. I don't think they'll be able to get the monkey themselves, but 2 kills and the Rift Herald denied.
Yeah, LSE caught out of position a bit. LSE Dog wasn't able to join the fight, and all the team fight ultimates, the Shurima Shuffle and the hostile takeover, really big impact, and that just closes the gap to around 1,000 gold for Roehampton, and that might be the break they need.
Maybe not exactly what you wanted, because you didn't get shut down onto the Wukong at the end of the day, and you didn't actually secure the Herald for yourself, but nevertheless, you denied it to the enemy team, and as you said, closing the gold gap quite substantially after that fight. Let some more champions on your side get to your mythics and your other items. Of course, one other nice thing is that once that Ornn starts hitting level 14, we'll be giving away those ornaments as well, so you have that little extra scaling power once you hit that point in the game.
Absolutely, and on building the Sunfire Cave first, not going for the Mythic right away. I do wonder what Mythic Ornn will Stegosaurus will try to build, but the Sunfire Cave obviously help with the wave clear, help with just overall damage. Overall, still a good item, even though it has lost its Mythic status by preseason.
Yep, helps give you a little bit more wave control on the top side as well. Nick, obviously, having evened out the CS a little bit since the early game, but nevertheless, I mean, you're not expecting the set to really be as far behind as the set was earlier on. But
LSE trying to establish a bit of a board side jungle vision, a bit of an invade and put some wards together with Oxbridge Reject. Perhaps trying to attack Ice Blue in this isolated bot lane then.
It's alone right now, 3 members available, rest of Roehampton nowhere to be seen. Tower dive will go on, Oxford Reject is going to take 1 tower shot. Ice Blue decides to try and go down for the Syndra first, but unfortunately Syndra is not the one taking tower aggro, and as such Ice Blue goes down.
Yeah, I think in his eyes he was Phoenix doing that 1v4 Azir play, but good try nonetheless. But again, like when you play as a team, you have to recognize where your kind of weak side is, and sometimes you just can't stand under like tier 1 turret and think you're safe. You might just get dived. And Dragon coming out in 20 seconds, and looks like LSE in quite a good position to try to contest this.
Yeah, seems like Roehampton wants to try and go mid-priority, maybe get that tower first and then move into the river, with LSE just having secured complete bot-side priority for this objective. That is exactly what we'll do, clear out some vision. Remy going to try and stop potentially an advance here, but I think Roehampton have enough information.
Looks like a big team fight is going to form soon. We see all the members are just trying to converge on this Dragon Pit area. We'll have to see who kind of gets the like better positioning. You can see Remy on the flank here and securing that mouth of the Dragon Pit positioning there.
Vision cleared back out. Roehampton's little advance completely put to rest now. Ice Blue finally in position. All 5 members of both teams ready and drawing their battle lines. There comes the hook straight onto the carry. And there is Draven going down. Remy on a rampage. Nick into the backline. It's exactly the engage LSE wanted. Although Ice Blue Shuffle will make a big stand. Although extra shielding from the Locket. LSE victory on the whole. A triple kill for the jungler.
Yes, absolutely well played by LSE side. Very unfortunately for Roehampton, they didn't secure a good enough flank, and once LSE know that they can just like focus on one person, once they're all clumped up in the ramp, LSE could just engage, and now they're going to transition this to the Baron, extending the goal lead even further.
So I see that there is no chance they can even contest the Baron. There is, however, an angle for the Swirling Death to maybe get something off of it. No, too little damage. Instead, Duskrow will aim for the Drake. LSE, I don't think are going to go for it. They're just going to back off instead. So Roehampton may be able to at least get the Drake for the Baron.
It is a consolation prize, but also an important one. As we were talking about, LSE have this win condition of dragon stacking, and now that is delayed by 5 minutes at least. And for LSE, the Baron is actually a bigger prize for them, giving them like a lot of momentum in this mid game. Given that they're quite ahead, they're around 6k ahead, and a lot of gold, a lot of individual power. Never mind, Oxbridge had to flash away.
Okay, we'll get out, but that flash engage no longer available on the Nautilus, so a little bit less reach for Little Dirk potentially in future fights. But the engage, that last fight from the Nautilus onto the Draven, was exactly what LSE needed.
Yes, absolutely huge play by Oxbridge actually. And now looks like LSE is just looking to use this Baron by pushing out mid first and perhaps fixing some of the sideways perhaps, or just maybe try to barrel 5 mid. Actually no, they're just gonna be really disciplined and sweep out the wards and just try to take the territory inch by inch.
Little by little, keeping it safe, calm and collected. Of course, only the first game of the best of 5, so nice to have the momentum coming off of game 1. But you know, if World's Finals told us anything, game 1 doesn't necessarily matter.
Ooh, Remy.
There it is, engage onto Lil Dirk. He's by himself right now, you don't have to commit to this. Flash will be committed though from both the bot laners of Roehampton, so very nice advantage to get to continue this siege.
Yeah, that's very important actually, like, given both bowlers are really squishy and Remy only committed the ultimate and still has the flash, can be quite impactful when other members of a team like Kez trying to attack these squishier members of Roehampton side.
Siege continues, waves not quite synced up, but still pushing mid and bot side. Remy looking for a dive angle, it will be spotted out by NBA Hopboy, but Stegosaurus taking so much damage. Poke of LSE a little bit too much.
Yeah, you would think that Ornu will be more tanky, but with all the true and magic damage coming up from Kez, has to retreat. And a double cannon wave in the bot side, looking to siege up the bot inhibitor tower.
Okay, tower goes down, 5 members still alive and ready, and likewise now for Roehampton. Both sides standing their ground, backing off after the first inhib.
That's probably quite a sensible thing to do, like still using the Baron recall for a quicker back. LC Dog is just going to clean up the Krugs, and now they could turn their focus into the other lanes, try to crack the other inhibitor turrets. But I would assume that LC will probably try to do is to establish some kind of control in like one quadrant of the jungles of Roehampton. I assume might be the top side, given that they try to push. Probably the top tier 2 will be the next target. But for now, game is a bit of a lull, as both sides are just clearing up waves and just clearing the jungle.
I remember that objective bounties were active as well. Roehampton having claimed one of those off of the Drake a moment ago, but now looking to claim maybe another one. Both the mid and topside Drakes towers are very low, and pretty much able to collect one of those up would be a nice injection of gold. And they are going to look to go for it. Nick going to be the target. Flash away, showstopper. I don't think that Nick will be able to deal with this at all. Is a 1v4. So, very nice
Look
kill.
at LC though, LCTP.
Actually, yeah, they're in the mid lane. There should be another inhib available. I'm not sure if you can actually push any further than that, potentially risking the game there. But 2 inhibs down, definitely something to have for the future.
Yeah, a really nice call by LSE to just like push mid, and also the Super Mega Death Rocket interrupted some recalls from the Roehampton members, so Roehampton cannot organize a counterattack in the mid lane. So overall, you get the set, but you lose your mid inhibitor for Roehampton.
Yeah, it might be an okay trade-off. So one thing about having the inhibs open is that you kind of get more gold funneled into them because you have the super minions perma pushing the waves. Issue is, you also have super minions perma pushing the waves, so you kind of have to dedicate resources to pushing those waves back. And if you don't, you might be at risk of just losing the game.
LSE trying to be a bit cheeky here, death pushing in one of the...
They don't know.
They shouldn't know. Oh no, Hook Boy.
Okay, maybe a little bit early. Hook Boy still will go down immediately. Kez going to pick that one up. Remy onto Lil Durk. Might be what they needed. There is the stopwatch as well. Depth charge to follow. Looks like this might be the final push from LSE. Another anchor going their way. Dredgeline connecting every single time. However, the wave is not quite there yet. Going to wait a few seconds for the supers to get in, but might be the end here potentially.
Yeah, LSE definitely looking to end.
Oh, the Dredgeline hits again. Stopwatch to counter though. Call of the Forge God onto 3 members. Iceboom looking for the shuffle. Will actually land it. LSE might have overcommitted. Roehampton's damage still available. Nick though, still big frontline. The carries are still alive. A few seconds on the respawn. If Roehampton could just delay ever so slightly, you might be able to save the game right now, but one Nexus turret going to go down. Second one likely to follow. There are a lot of minions, but LSE's health bars are getting so low. They're Scroll getting more damage onto Nick. LSE Dog forced to retreat. Won't be able to. Interrupted shutdown available. And Roehampton surviving on a thread.
Wow, I thought that was the end of the game, but Roehampton with Lil Durk respawning actually saved the game right there. In the end though, Remy is still just here soloing the Drake here, so creating the ticking time bomb, the soul point condition. But look at what Roehampton is doing. They're starting Dragon. Baron, sorry.
The Baron being started immediately. They should be able to get this just fine. LSE's respawns. Most of the team are up, but not all of the team. Nick, LSE Dog still down. Baron being burnt a little bit too fast. I don't think Nautilus has a single chance in hell of being able to save that one. We'll get the Baron. I don't think Remy can interrupt. These recalls a little bit too fast. Yeah, Wukong not able to dash into that one, and at least we're having to get a little bit of respite.
Looking at the gold lead, it's around 4k, and even though, say, LSE is around 2 dragons up, ultimately, it only really matters when you get the Hextech Soul, I think, with those stats. I would say Roehampton still have a good fighting chance, but the problem is losing 2 inhibitors is not great, and they really want to wait for those inhibitors to come back up and then try to set up like a fight favorable to them.
This Baron has also done is evened out with gold lead a little bit, only about 4,000 or so. LSE still though in the driver's seat. They just need to potentially stack up a few more waves, maybe get a pick or some reject Hex flashing over. Baron minions will help Roehampton defend slightly, but the siege is still on.
Yeah, the siege indeed is still on, but as you were saying, those Baron up minions can be quite helpful in defense, and also having some wave clear as well on Roehampton's side. Azir can basically just clear out a wave quite instantly. Draven, I guess not the best wave clearer, but still can clear out some waves. So the waves aren't that much of a threat, and it looks like LSE is trying to threaten some of the bot lane open inhibitor now.
Inhibitor respawned, but available to be killed. Looking for a pick. Hook Boy gonna take 1 zap from Dog. Tense battle lines right here. Shuriman Tower.
Yep, the Sun Disc coming down, adding to some defense of the previously open inhibitor. So it looks like LSE just have to back off. It's one of the best Azir towers I've seen, actually. Like, just completely stops LSE in their tracks. And looks like ultimately LSE still have quite a gold lead, and also all these jungle resources are just being like taken away by LSE. And look at the warding as well. Like every time LSE like pillage the jungle. They just like put down a couple wards here and there, and it's very hard for Roehampton to achieve surprise.
I mean, they're looking to claim something. They have to be careful. Scatter onto 2. Ice Blue going to take a lot of damage. Unleash Power will be responded to. No one killed just yet, but the Showstopper from Set just a little bit too much. There comes the rest of the true damage. First to go down will be the Nick. LSE's damage still in tow. Remy here healing up. Armor available. I think there's just too much. The Death Ball of LSE is unstoppable, and they will claim the first game inevitably at this point. Ornn gonna go down shortly. Baron minions non-existent. Ice Bloom 1 HP. That will be the end of the game.
Yeah, Ice Blue survived for so long and dish out so much damage, but ultimately not quite enough. The front line was just melted by LC Dog and Kez, and Remy just running, diving. More than disruption, actually really, really painful as well. So looks like LC is just going to end the game here, and that will be 1-0 to LC in the series.
Yeah, 1-0 going to lead the best of 5 with the first victory. Not too shabby, I have to say. Can't really fault Roehampton for many of the plays. The play mid, I think, was the right decision at the moment in time. But unfortunately, just not quite enough to be able to get to the win just there. But as we mentioned, it is the first game of a best of 5 series. You have plenty of chances to come in.
Yeah, and I think Roehampton have to think about how to change this up, and maybe more jungle bans? I don't know. How to shut down Remy, because it was all kind of like snowballed from that one fight in the early game. And looks like we have an interview soon.
Yeah, there will be an interview ready, of course, but Brilliant Frame, of course, provide the content. I think we've got some people from Roehampton to talk a little bit about what's going on.
Thank you very much, Dan. And yes, we have 2 Roehampton fans from the audience. And now that, so how do you guys feel? How do you think that game went for both of you?
It was a little bit unfortunate. Had a pretty rough early game, and trying to come back from that is a bit too rough.
Yeah, I think LSE played smart. They played for bot lane. They ganked early. We couldn't counter gank in time. They got the early lead, and then Wukong just ran rampant. Got the Drays, got the Barons. Bit of an L.
Yeah, to be fair, when I spoke to Roehampton earlier, they said they didn't do any practice. They didn't watch any of the VODs, and they just said they came here just a bit before. They had a bit of a pint, had a bit of a chill, just to calm their nerves, and so they're just here to go have a bit of fun. But how do you feel like the next match go? Do you think that they've learned a bit from this match they just had, and they can have the possibility to change a few things up, especially with a player such as Remy, who is literally wiping the floor? Do you think they need to kind of focus on Remy a bit more, try and get a few of those shutdowns done?
I think what the team's done well in the past is adapt to certain circumstances. So they'll think about this game, they'll think about the draft, they'll go back and they'll reevaluate how they can approach the game. I think maybe having the jungler hover bot a little bit more, because that's where the problems are coming from. And yeah, I think the boys will figure it out. They're smart lads.
I mean, I was seeing a lot of really nice plays from Ice Blue that game, so potentially trying to get the mid laner more involved in the bot side plays could work, but we'll see.
Yeah, only time will tell, and I have to say, these uniforms for Roehampton, they look extra crisp.
Thank you.
And so do you want to give us a little bit of a swirl so the audience members can be able to see what this is? Double the Mars, double the trouble. Sweet. So, right, last but not least, have you got any motivation? Give that team a bit of love. Be able to say, you can do this, because they've lost one, but they have the potential to take the next to 2 to 3 matches. So, any motivation for your team?
Yeah, man, you're great at speeches.
I'll just say, Roehampton, never FF.
Yeah, some of our shirts.
I'm not allowed to say much more as I'm a Kassadin player, so it could get a bit techie.
I think, let's get the crowd going. Let's get the boys in black and yellow to start roaring. Maybe they can hear us upstairs. Get that motivation going. Let's get the dub!
Definitely, let's hope they do. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to send you back to the seating area, and hopefully we get to see Roehampton play a little bit more and be able to possibly take the next match. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Alright, that has been it for the interview. Thank you guys from Roehampton. Very nice uniforms. They're showing out for their teams. But now I'm going to send it to an ad break for our fabulous sponsors who made this event possible.
Good shit.
Yeah, go on. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Just whilst we're waiting for the PCs just to get set up and the lobby to get started, I have now got Dan here, who has been, if you've heard him in whilst the stream's going, the caster, the man, the myth, the legend. It's been on a roller coaster of events that we've had during the whole group stages. Has there been any moments for you that have kind of been the sort of overview and big points during these games?
I think the most exciting thing has been the last series that we had last week, which was the best of three between Roehampton and Mary. It was definitely the tightest series we've had here. So it was a blast to cast that. Really nice to have a tri-cast and have everyone on board with that. But I think finals so far has been pretty good, and I'm pretty interested to see what will come next. So
yeah, especially me, because Roehampton last week they seemed quite strong, but going into this they seemed a little bit pulled back a bit. They haven't got their foot right on the pedal. Do you think Roehampton are going to change a few things up and go into this next match?
We'll have to wait and see what the adaptations are. Of course, it's a best of 5, and as we've mentioned on the stream, you know, if it's like World Finals, if it's like any sort of competitive tournament, just because you won Game 1 doesn't mean you win the series. So there's potential for them to come back, and it just depends on what you end up picking, what you end up banning, how you execute. Because I think a lot of the decisions that they made within the game were pretty much correct. They're just maybe faltered in some areas, maybe you need to change up champions a little bit, but it's as simple as that.
Yeah, definitely, indeed, especially going back to Worlds where anything can literally happen. And with everybody watching, you can kind of get that nervous energy because everyone down here and everyone around pretty much in London who are ever watching, they're all watching your matches. But overall, have you been enjoying this tournament? Because I know I have been, even though at the start we had that few issues, but Jesus, that was a bit issues, but overall it's been quite well, and I'm hoping it has been for you.
I think that the general experience has been pretty good so far. I think the main takeaway is that it's been really good to be able to run an event in person for people to come to. It's a 5v5 thing. There's a lot of the online tournaments and regional leagues. It's like, well, you have multiple hours in a day, you're playing online, you're playing from the comfort of your own home, but set up in person, you have spectators and everything. There's a whole different energy in the room right now. I can imagine. I mean, you can imagine at home if you are watching at home, but you know in person what it's like to be here.
Yeah, definitely indeed. And now I think we are about ready to get back into the matches. I'm going to say thank you again, Dan, and especially with you over the mic. I love being able to hear you, especially Cookie as well. If you can hear us, I would like to say hi to you, Cookie, as well. You have been amazing. But now I'm going to send you back, and hopefully we can get this game on the road.
Fingers crossed.
All right, see you then.
Alright, and we're back in once more for the 2022 edition, of course, of the London University Esports Tournament. Myself and Cookie back once more for the second game of the series. LSE taking number 1. Definitely not the end of the world for Roehampton. Should be in a fine position to make a recovery.
I would think Roehampton can adjust some things up to try to crawl back in the second game. Ultimately, the game, it was kind of snowballed off the first gank by Remy in the bot lane, and I would think maybe Roehampton has more problems with that, but I think the main problem is Monkey getting to third.
Yeah, Wukong got disproportionately ahead off of a very early gank, which initially was in the favour of Roehampton. They had the advantage there on the bot side with the levels and such, but maybe target focus, maybe not necessarily paying attention to the Nautilus. You have to really can't underestimate the champion's potential to engage early on, and that really was a big problem for the game. But we are straight into picks and bans for the second game. Aatrox still off the table.
I would assume that they just don't want to deal with Aatrox, and Pyke coming out similar bans to the first game actually, the Pyke and the Shen. So it looks like both teams aren't really changing the bans up too much. The Yasuo though, what is this?
Yeah, I think maybe some scouting might have been done by LSE here, recognising that Yasuo Diana was something they actually did struggle with previously versus Queen Mary, and despite Roehampton not necessarily playing it in this tournament so far, it's still something they might have up their sleeve and they just don't want to.
Yeah, Graves coming out, one of the stronger junglers we talked about, but also that means Hecarim is kind of left open, and Lucian Nami is responded by LSE into this Lux Caitlyn lane by Roehampton. So kind of a classic. One lane is looking to push lanes, manipulate the waves, and the other is looking for a kill. And Lilia comes out actually. Lilia, one of the bans from previous games, can be quite a very fast clear jungle. It's like Hecarim but AP. I mean, it really isn't true, but it feels similar in terms of clear speed and the AoE damage.
Yeah, I mean, clear speed may be slightly less valuable at the moment, but it does actually allow you to set up the Lilting Lullaby, making people fall asleep in their tracks, and then you can throw up the CC, land an Aqua Prism maybe from the Nami to follow up on that, and Nick and Orianna even, there it is. A lot of combo potential coming out from LSE.
Yeah, I do like this draft from Roehampton. Then last game, having that Caitlyn Lux in the bot lane really secures your early game. Even if you have jungle interference, actually, to be fair, the Coral Calls really need to focus on bot lane, really to make sure this Caitlyn Lux is taking the necessary playthings for this lane to work. Or, perhaps NBA Hook Boy landing those crucial bindings just turns the lane right on its head.
Yeah, Caitlyn Lux, as you say, known for being very, very impressive. Lucian Nami definitely able to retaliate depending on whether the CC lands and whether Remy's in position. But if Deskero is trying to come down, give them a little bit of support with the Graves, can be a bit of an issue. Collateral damage in combination with the final spark from Lux is a severe amount of burst. And Nami, having one of the lower base healths in the game, has to be incredibly careful.
Up to the top lane though, I really like this Fiora pick by LSE. Into the set can be a skill matchup at the beginning, but Fiora does have that scaling advantage, and set If Set goes for Heartsteel, then I would just cry. I mean, Fiora famously dealing percentage true health damage will be quite the menace into this set in the top lane or in the side lanes in general. Um, Lilia, we talked about earlier, fast clear jungle, quite the I want to see how Lilia kind of like navigates this game because there are quite a few avenues for Lilia to like come through. You can just clear your jungle and go for opportunistic ganks, or you can try to maybe not the bot lane, but maybe try to go for the top lane and secure Fiora a lead in the top lane, helping helping to break up the map. But again, if you just focus on the top lane, then you lose out on bot lane where the Caitlyn Lux can thrive.
Yeah, Roehampton's ability to be able to get those plates in the bot lane, as you say, could be of a major advantage. Should be interested to see how the top lane kind of matches up last time. Nick having so much trouble versus the set, now a set being in the hands of the enemy Stegosaurus instead. Shall be another match to watch. Of course, Ice Blue still on the same comfort of the Azir. I do agree with you. I think the adaptations have been made pretty well from Roehampton. It's just now going to be whether they can execute on it. If we go back to last game, one of the big mistakes was not necessarily respecting the gank coming out from Remy. Caitlyn Lux still does exactly the same thing as Renata Draven did in the sense that they both want to push the lane. They will push naturally, this time with the specific goal of getting tower plating. Now, if they're not careful about how they position themselves in the lane, they could get punished very easily.
Yes, some jungle tracking will be needed, and even if you put water in the river, might not be enough because Lilia famously runs at Mach 3, like just runs at you at the speed of light. So that could be a problem if jungle tracking is not done properly. So I want the Coral Cast to be really on point with the movements and perhaps setting up actually counter ganks as well. Counter ganks can be quite brutal when Lucian Nami sees an opening. Lucian Nami will go for it, but if you're there to counter, then that will be should end up a favorable result for Roehampton.
So then do you think the general game plan is to really focus down the spot side with that extra jungle pressure to go for those counter ganks, or do you think Graves maybe should be spending some time elsewhere on the map?
I do think they really need to spend time in the spot lane. Caitlyn Lux is a lane that has one objective. If you don't achieve that, it is a big problem. So you have to make sure in the early game you're achieving that that plating game. If you actually break open the bot lane quite early, then the game becomes a lot more easy and methodical, where you just rotate a Caitlyn around the map to take down more towers, and by then you should have like quite a comfortable lead that the scaling wouldn't matter that much, and can try to push a bit more.
Hello, hello, hello. And we are back onto the Rift for the second time tonight. LSE currently leading 1-up in the best of 5 series, but Roehampton here with the response, looking to get a win on the board.
Yes, hopefully with the Caitlyn Lux adaptation, they could be able to achieve much more in bot lane than before. Not saying Draven Renata was bad. Draven Renata was fine, but Draven Renata needed kills, which they didn't get a lot of.
Yeah, they managed to pull it back a little bit in the mid game, but it was sort of the flash dredge line coming out from Oxford's Reject in a crucial mid-game team fight, landing that onto the Draven there, basically meaning that that Draven who just cashed in a little bit extra gold just wasn't really allowed to do anything more.
Both sides going for a boring start. I mean, I say boring. It is the grand finals. It is the best of 5. You don't want to leave your game onto chance, and both sides will just be quite safe. 5 pointing and Looks like Grace will start up in the top side, and Lilia shall do the same.
Fairly standard, as you say. Absolutely fine to take it. Ice Blue. Doing what he does is their first strike available to try and make some more money off of the early trades. Caitlyn Lux, though, very ready for the rest of the lane to come in, looking for something. He'll be warded out, though. Still expecting the lane to get priority into the Lucian army.
Should do. Maybe not in the very early, where Lucian can counter the push, but in the end, the range... Ooh, come in top lane. Nice trade early on, but not too much damage actually dealt onto Nick.
Yeah, all eyes on Nick right now to see whether you can actually kind of look it back from last game. You would kind of expect to be winning versus in the all matchup there, but now Nick may be a little bit more comfortable on the Fiora, as we saw last week with a pretty solid performance coming out there, so looking to repeat that again.
Yes, and bringing the TP Ghost for Fiora, so it's quite a common thing nowadays for Fiora to have Ghost. Ooh, Remy going for cheese gank.
It's a very early gank though, probably not great. Nick does still hit level 2. Fiora now in an isolated 1v1 versus Set Parry. I think Fiora should have enough damage to bring this out. Stegosaurus going to trade a few more autos away. It's going to get really close with the hooks. Nick unable to do anything more. Won't be a flash response though. Unfortunately, no kill going down just yet.
I don't think Stegosaurus should survive this, but he's currently still living.
Take damage. Wait, face breaker. Very tense right now. I mean, anything could happen. Although there's a root in the bot side. NBA Hook Boy gonna be traded back onto LSE. Dog gonna go down, but it's gonna be a trade across the map, as the first blood did go down to Remy in the top side eventually.
NBA Hookboy landing those crucial bindings really helps out here. And this Lucian Nami lane losing quite hard now, and Graves coming for the dive.
I mean, this is pretty much what we expected. Graves going down, flash forward to connect the auto. Oxbridge at level 2. Little Duck with the attack range. That's another kill. LSE Dog unable to do it.
That's what Roehampton wanted. Focus on the bot side, and losing top side for the trade of pressure is not bad for Roehampton at all. Stegosaurus does lose a lot of XP here and will be suffering a bit, but I think Stegosaurus realized that it's all worth in the end.
Very much so. The sacrifice was not for naught. Caitlyn getting the kill is, as you say, exactly what we wanted. Going according to plan, you bring the Graves down, as what you said in draft. Bring Graves down, support the bot side, get them plating, get them ahead, basically prevent Caitlyn from having any kind of mid-game slump, and you don't have the issue of the jinx. Of course, there isn't a jinx this game, but more specifically the LSE bot lane being in a position to deal with the rest of your team.
Little Doug getting a Berserker's Greaves right away. I really like this itemization actually. Having that extra movement speed really helps you to like space your enemy laners. That looks like that not opting for raw damage and just for the movement speed kind of tells me that they want to play this lane a bit more, want to try to look for the kills additional to pushing the waves.
Interesting. Going to see exactly how it all comes to fruition. Kez and Ice Blue going blow to blow in the mid lane. Both equally trading themselves for health and mana right here. They're getting a nice little crash back, gets the reset. Not too much. No Drake secured just yet, but it seems like LSE do have priority in the bot side, and Remy will be down there to support.
Yeah, Remy trying to probably just crashing this wave, just denying the freeze from Roehampton's side. You can see like these headshots hurt. Like even though Caitlyn has no extra attack damage right now, as long as you proc the headshot, the trade usually becomes a win in those scenarios.
Disco are going to do the same as Remy just did in bot side. Push out the wave, let Ice Blue get a reset. Will likely not have to TP now. Can still respond with it as well. TP turrets at the moment. But always good to support your laners when they need you.
Remy in the top side right now. Stegosaurus quite smart. Oh, never mind.
Might be in trouble. Oh, dodge the light binding. That was incredibly important. The only reason why was able to get out alive. Ignite still invested, so in the end, because Nami did get out, actually positive for LSE.
Yeah, I would say so. I would agree. But the thing is, now LSE Dog have to suffer a little bit, trying to. Oh, actually, they're going for an early dragon. Roehampton rotating the dragon very quickly.
Kez might be in trouble though. Flash away from the light binding. Get the Oriana to safety, but of course, Roehampton able to get this dragon for virtually free.
Yeah, I would think that will be one of the strategies that Roehampton could take. So apart from the plating game, because you have this Caitlyn Lux bot lane with so much priority, you can try to stack your dragons fairly early on and try to get to that soul dragon quite quickly. Remy just doing some counter jungling in the top side, so clearly bot side is quite well, fair enough, conceded to ooh, the Shurima shuffle.
Nice delay there. Good patience. Deskro now available. Doesn't have collateral damage available just yet, but one more auto will do the trick, and Ice Blue nets a kill.
Oh, poor Singosaurus.
Yeah, but I think he actually might be able to escape. Lilting Lullaby puts them to sleep. Grand Challenge still not proc just yet. Remy taking a few too many tower shots, but not quite enough. Nick now under tower. One more auto does the job, but it's going to be a 1-for-1.
Yeah, hoping. LSE definitely hoping to get a clean kill top lane there. But now Remy surrounded by the enemies.
Well, the natural counter to a deer is a shotgun. Shotgun will miss for the time being, but the pellets will come through eventually.
That's very true. The natural counter to the deer is the shotgun. And in the bot lane, ooh, a lot of things going on, but both laners quite low, but Lucian Army not able to capitalize on that.
Yeah, the lightning button did go down. LSE Dog getting rooted, but the ability to basically deny positioning between the culling and Nami's zoning potential with the Aqua Prism was just a little bit too much. Couldn't secure the kill. Not enough mana specifically on the side of Roehampton. I think if they had a little bit more there might have been a possibility of slaying the Lucian, but alas, that wasn't the case.
A bit more fist fighting in the top lane. Nothing much will result from that. Singosaurus not having the greatest time, but have his ninja tubbies. Steel plate cap, sorry, I'm too old for this game.
I mean, it's the same with me, you know. They changed it to plate caps a while ago, but I keep calling them tabbies. It's just instant. Although I think Kez is going to go down again. Slight mispositioning, shockwave onto 2. I think there is a little bit too much damage. Although Oriana, maybe the move speed, gonna force a flash out from Destro, but it should be a dead Oriana at the end of the day.
Again, we can see, as we were talking about earlier, Remy really focusing on his top side. Like, one of the ways that LSE can play this is to say, well, we'll trade bot side for top side, where we can enable this Fiora to be a silent monster. But as things stand, I do think Roehampton is getting the better of LSE right now. Having those platings down, not a complete turret yet. And we also see NBA Hookboy roaming around trying to see if there's anything to do, but coming back to the bot side now for both supports, it seems.
Reject in position. Dirk should be fairly safe, has still got the net in the back to be able to dash away from a potential Nami once they reveal themselves. Rift Herald should be secured by Graves though. Very nice. 3-0-1 currently, and a huge change of pace compared to the Trundle of last game.
I didn't actually realize all the kills went into the Coral Cause, and the really early Ravenous Hydra. That means, well, we know all this item does is a snowball item, and the Coral Cause will be really impactful in the future, like skirmishes and fights. And that means Remy might just have to like clear the jungle for a little bit and chill a bit. Never mind, they try something bot lane.
But the Swole Seed doesn't land. Som's going to be blown by both teams. Deskro now in position. I think retreat is in order. Remy taking a lot of damage, collateral damage. All the ultimates still available for Roehampton. Neither team nets a kill.
Yes, Remy does try to influence his bot lane, but in the end, the Korokos was in position to counter gank already. And looks like both sides are going back to a bit of farming. Actually, Remy is still waiting in the wings, maybe trying for a round 2.
Taking a gamble, trying to test Roehampton's bot side to see if they think they'll wait. Ice Blue gonna go for the roam. Remy revealed out, and LSE should just back away accordingly.
Yes, I do think it's not that wise for LSE to try to fight this. Yes, Lucian Army is suffering a bit, and Lucian Army does have a lot of kill pressure, but you do need your Mythic to be able to dish out enough damage to kill, I do believe. And Herald is spawned in the bot lane and will probably just take down the tower. Where's the Herald gone?
There it is. It just took a little while to actually cash in on those plates. But Lil Durk getting a lot of gold off the back of this, exactly what you want with Caitlyn. Likewise, I think what will happen now is will be a rotation between Stegosaurus, move the set to bot side so you don't have this Fiora constantly pounding on him, and get the Caitlyn and Lux a little bit more gold. The alternative is to move on to mid lane, there's also 4 plates available.
Yes, we'll have to see where they decide. It seems it will be the Dragon first. Trying to rotate for this Dragon first before setting up the lanes, which is understandable given that, as we were saying, Roehampton does have this Dragon. Whoa!
What a play coming out from Stegosaurus. That was some set mechanics right there. Remy unable to do absolutely anything with the TP response from Iceblue, and Roehampton showing up on the skills front.
Wow, that was just a sleep check, like checking if Nick have the reaction times to parry the said ultimate, unless Nick uses somewhere else where I didn't see. But Iceblue still hovering around in the top lane. Remy looking at Nick and say, okay, I'll just recall and maybe collect some more farm from the jungle.
Wow. Massive coming out. I mean, Nick, honestly, this day so far, maybe a second warm-up game for the player, has not really been showing up necessarily, even on the champions like Fiora, who has been playing the entire tournament. Stegosaurus really showing a little bit of a top gap outside of the CS department, but that is kind of expected going into this matchup.
Yeah, Stegosaurus, the weak side king, doing honestly above and beyond, getting a solo bolo there. And as we were expecting, the Caitlyn Lux is now pushed into the mid lane, trying to secure more plating, and this cause rightfully hovering around, make sure that Remy doesn't do any shenanigans. And the game is a little bit of a stalemate right now. But if we look at the vision, we can see that Roehampton is in quite control. If we look at the top side of the jungle, there are quite a few Roehampton wards, blue wards right there. Remy crossing map, going to the red buff, will be spotted by the numerous wards littered around the jungle.
Yeah, vision game on point from both teams. LSE mostly in the bottom side of Roehampton. Actually quite a sizable amount of warding in this sort of top river line, as you can see. Those 3 wards plus the control. Giving a little bit more information to Remy. Remy has been farming up a fair storm right now, but grows to 17 Wrath Hydra stacks and the, let's just say, better ganks. Overall has been doing really, really well in the jungle.
Okay, let's have a look at this itemization here. Shield bow for Lil Durk. I do not approve. I do not approve at all. As a Caitlyn, especially when you're ahead, you should build that damage, you should build that Gale Force. I mean, Gale Force is not damage per se, but allows you to put... Ooh, in trouble though.
Really nice sleep available. CC lock onto Lil Durk will be a very nice pickup from LSE, looking for a little bit more. Remy level 10. Flashed away from the Lux. Here comes the re-engage. Collateral damage way too much from the Graves. So far ahead in this game right now, and will net 2 kills for the side of Roehampton.
Yes, although Lil Durk falls down, in the end, the Cold Cost able to clean up Stegosaurus. Yeah, those W's don't work, man. Those face breakers do not work with Fiora's parry. And Remy thinking about a dive in the bot lane.
Mid lane fails. That's a huge shockwave, actually. Kez gonna pick one up by himself. I think will fall to Iceblue, though. Nice 1-for-1 though, nevertheless, in the mid lane, even if resources were invested. Further resources going down bot side. Remy tanked up the tower nicely. Oh no, you hate to see it. Right on the edge, and Nick's gonna go down too.
Weak side king, as we say. The 1-for-2. Really well played by Stegosaurus. Remy stayed a bit too long trying to tank one more shot, but got hit by the face breaker, unfortunately. Looks like Roehampton is now using this numerical advantage to rotate towards the Rift Herald now.
absolute set gaming coming up here. Dying every time, but it is always a good death, as they say. That 2 for 1. I mean, the tower aggro is not juggled in the way you'd like to be juggled, and Roehampton right now, that's a 3,000 odd gold lead secured. Really, really nice position here.
Absolutely. Looking at, yeah, Kess is doing a good job. I don't. The thing is, like, I much rather saw the Syndra. I don't think Syndra was banned, but not sure why they opted for the Orianna in the end, just to change things up. But Syndra would have provided much more kill pressure in the mid lane. But now we have the Orianna have to wait a bit more to like basically for team fights for more control rather than raw damage. LSE will have to kind of wait this out a bit. Wait for that Caitlyn trough we always talk about, like the mid game Caitlyn trough, where Caitlyn is not as oppressive until like 3 items. But the problem is Graves is perfectly tiding this stage of the game over with Eclipse and Rava's Hydra already built. That means LSE won't really find that much advantageous item difference, if that makes sense. So we have to see like, what LSE game plan is, because currently they are just bleeding objectives.
Yeah, it's a bit of a slow fall at the moment. Set those resources that you've tried to put into stopping Set really kind of just got reversed, and I think Lucian's gonna go down blown up there by the burst of Roehampton. And yeah, I think some more proactivity would do good. Trying to group up a little bit, trying to go for a little pick. Soul point as well secured, so Roehampton right now in just an amazing position to keep executing where you currently are. Should be able to even out the score.
Should be able to. I mean, I do hope for. I do hope LSE can weather the storm a bit. Then we can see some amazing team fights. Nick trying to do something in the side lane, probably looking for Remy, calling for Remy for help, but will be spotted out by the far side ward. Singosaurus rightfully just basing and replenishing some items. Game is in a bit of a lull state right now, but I do think Roehampton should try to push the lead. There are some tier 2 turrets up there for sieging, so we'll have to see how they maneuver themselves. Baron coming up in 40 seconds, actually. It might be an angle, given that you have the Caitlyn and Graves and Azir damage to burst it down fairly quickly.
Certainly a lot of damage, of course. Hampered as well by the fact that you have just pretty solid gold totals on all of your members. So right now, to keep doing what you're doing. The problem is with doing Baron at this point as well is that you have the issue of, well, it's a little flippy. If LSE managed to maybe get a steal, maybe get a kill off the back of it, you are in a little bit of trouble. So you have to be careful about how you start it up, but of course, on the other hand, if Roehampton can do basically the same thing to them, get a pick before starting it, should be in a good position.
Looking at vision-wise, Roehampton does have like better control than LSE. Oh, trying for Singosaurus again.
So many tries, but not a single successful one, I would say. I mean, yes, you get the kill on the set in the end, but at what cost, I think, is the question we've all been asking this game. 4-4-0. Every death comes with it.
Okay, action. We have people in the mid lane sieging down the tier 2 turret, and looks like LSE is just a bit out of position, trying for the set and losing the tier 2 turret. And again, Roehampton can kind of rinse and repeat. Advance your vision line, and then go towards one of the top or bottom tier 2 turret.
Interesting. Seems a little bit of a flat play, I would say, there. You had the opportunity to potentially get a pick there, particularly on the Lux. I mean, if you're a man to parry something, maybe not taking the risk just yet is a wise choice. But as you mentioned already, LSE are bleeding slowly. 4,000 gold down the drain and not a single Drake. Drake obviously not spawning for a little bit, but it's a bit of a precarious position.
Yeah, due to the early stacking of the Drakes from Roehampton's side, the Dragon Soul actually comes up in 1 minute 20. So that will be a point where LSE have to ask themselves, do they want to contest this Drake now? But if you look at Lucian items, it's dreadful. Like, I'm not gonna, like, if I'm LSE dog, I'm saying I'm not fighting that dragon. Like, I'm just not fighting that dragon. So, that means Kempton Drake basically will be given over to Roehampton if LSE, well, think like I do.
Let's go looking for it. Venison not quite up for dinner just yet. We'll run away from that one. The point of that play was to try and set up for the Drake, although Stegosaurus finally might be falling to this Fiora at last, putting up a bit of a fight versus the Grand Challenge, but I think Nick is far enough ahead at this point to secure it.
Yeah, Fiora actually not going for the dive. A bit conservative there. Because that would be the break kind of like LSE needed in order to secure the dragon. Now that it looks like Stegosaurus can just take a back and then using the teleport to join the fight in the dragon. Looks like LSE is just pushing out the mid lane, but
At this point, they're just going to give away the soul.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Are they trying to contest or not? I'm still don't know. Okay, they are contesting.
1,000. I think Graves will be able to smite it away. Will be stolen. Can LSE get anything back? Stegosaurus straight into the back line. Tidal wave to follow. No kill landed just yet, but the CC onto Remy. Flash away. A 3-man shockwave. That might be what LSE needed. 3 kills immediately. No one dropping just yet. Nick onto NBA Hook Boy, but nobody on LSE has quite fallen. Yes, they traded away the soul, but they might have had an opportunity to pick the Baron.
Yeah, LSE is awake, and Nick going for the solo kill again. Oh, just skirt out from the turret, but this should be LSE's Baron, and this Korokos is not even going to contest, so big momentum swing for LSE.
But is it necessarily? The thing is, this Baron was not free. Yeah, you got objective bounty on the bot side, you got 3 kills to boot, but at the end of the day, Roehampton did still get that Dragon Soul. And the amount of extra damage you can get off the Chemtech Soul in these sorts of clutch team fights, especially off of the Greys who stacked up this Ravenous Hydra, and off the Set, who is known for really being able to fight on that low health threshold with the shield that you can potentially get from Playmaker, fights could get very dangerous.
It could, but we also see all these teamfight ultimates coming out from LSE really, really synchronize their team fighting. So I would love to see LSE now actually having the gold lead, 1.3k gold lead from LSE from all those objective bounties and the Baron and the team fight win. So they could kind of just take back control here and say, we give 4 dragons to you so that we can contest the Elder Dragon.
Yeah, Elder Dragon is the one caveat to this. Just like you said. If any team manages to secure this, whether it be LSE or Roehampton, well, it could just spell the end of the game, simply put. That extra execute you get, the true damage on hint, and the stats, of course. Very, very problematic, but as you say, LSE might be just trying to gun for the Elder Dragon, play a little bit with the Baron, but it's a bit of a gambit.
In my sights.
It is a bit of a gambit, but I feel like that is a interesting grand challenge.
Maybe a little bit early. There comes a suppression showstopper coming out. Should just be a trade of ultimates.
Still, this Elder Dragon, I cannot emphasize how important this is. Looking at the vision, currently LSE has a slight advantage. There's a... the flank ward actually displaced by Roehampton themselves. And that means LSE basically have complete control of the bot side of the jungle in terms of vision. So, honestly, all they have to do is just sit there and just wait for people to get caught out. Given that the Elder... Okay, never mind, Elder is like 3 minutes away. Why am I talking about this so early on? But basically, it's so important that it's something to look for in the next few minutes.
Certainly the objective on the minds of the players. Bear in mind, yeah, it's the second game so far, but one thing that will come into play as the series progresses is the mental of the players. You have to kind of keep up that momentum, keep up the ability to perform throughout the series, and it is a game of stamina, as we'll see. Exhaust onto Lil Durk. There comes the burst damage and a kill. Soon to follow. Remy gonna pick that one up. NBA hook boy the next one. Drowsy going down. There comes the bonk. Still alive though, and the route to follow should be a kill for Roehampton. Lead it back. And there's the Shuriman Shuffle. I was expecting a back away, so I paused for a second there, but Ice Brew going for the play again, ends up in a trade blow for both teams. Yet again, Nick looking for more. Dash forward, Fuel with the move speed, and there Hookboy safe under tower for now. Just needs to poke with the Q. Nick unable to do so as Stegosaurus zones away, but LSE will claim one tier 1 tower.
Yeah, overall in favor of LSE, given that they had the Baron buff, using up those Baron, the last bit of Baron buff to push the tier 1 tower, which is crucial because tier 1 tower opens up the map, opens up your pathways into the enemy opposing side jungle, and Remy happily clearing away some of the camps here. I expect there'll be a big team fight coming soon around the Elder Dragon. Both teams are really poised to fight that.
Very, very tense right now. As you say, this team fight around the Elder Dragon will seal the fate of the game, potentially, depending on the result who ends up winning out on the objective.
Lil Durk really needs to finish up his Infinity Edge. That will be one crucial item that kind of makes Caitlyn the kind of like late game carry. Caitlyn ideally wants more, but 3 items is the bare minimum. The Infinity Edge really boosts Caitlyn damage with the headshots. Still, the warding. I don't know why Roehampton is a little behind in that. They really have to focus on warding up the bot side of the jungle or clearing those wards.
LSE trying to set a trap at the moment. Looking for the mid laner. No Banshee's Veil procced away. Still has that available for the next fight. Elder Drake spawning in around a minute or so. LSE currently has the vision set up a little bit of warding done. 2 controls laid down, but of course if they don't keep the position, Roehampton should be able to waltz in and secure that. Nick currently TP available in the top side, just pushing in the way.
Yes, even though... oh, never mind. Look at what Roehampton's doing. Roehampton is trying to push out mid lane, but Lil Durk might be in a bit of a trouble. Oh, actually, never mind. Rejoin with the team. Nick TP'd in.
Okay, Ice Brew. Dashes away. Normal Banshee's Veil. Nick goes straight in. Face checks. Tidal Wave onto 2. Immediately kills one member. LSE Dog still alive with the healing. The rest of the damage coming in. Remy now on the chase. Lilting Lullaby onto 2. And LSE right now. The Death Ball unstoppable once again. Every member of Roehampton falling down and no one's alive. You still have 5 members. I think that's the game.
That should be the game if they try to push right away. I assume they're doing so. They might just turn back for the Elder Dragon. Remy eating a lot of turret damage there. They are looking for the end, but Lil Durk is up in 15 seconds.
I don't think he can get in time. This is still 5 members. Maybe if Roehampton manages to secure 1 kill, it might be enough to stall out the game. Just those death timers just not quite up and available. And LSE gonna take it to 2 games immediately from what was a massive deficit in the mid game.
Yeah, commiseration to... I mean, they haven't lost a series yet, but really well played by LSE. Kind of punishing the inactivity of Roehampton in the mid game. And a very, very great TP from Nick. And instantly one-shots the Koro cause as well. So, wow. Well played.
Alright, well, once again, as per usual, we're going to bring it over to Brilliant Frame, of course, for a post-game interview.
Thank you very much, casters, and what a game that was. At the start, it seemed to be going your guys' way. You were playing very well, especially with those Caitlyn plays poking that damage, but it seemed to just slipped your way just at the end. But how are you guys feeling? You're now 2-0 down, but how are you guys feeling?
Well, I mean, we're feeling okay. I don't think it's, we know we're always, like, we're better early game, we're just terrible at converting, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I feel okay, honestly, like, ready for next game.
Yeah, you are guys are strong, especially seeing it during the semi-finals. You guys were showing off. You were able to show that you are here to play. So I can't wait to see how you guys are going into the next 2 rounds, because it is seeming like you do know what you guys are doing, but it just seems just near the end where you just kind of be slipping away. Is there sort of changes you guys are going to make during these matches, going into the next 2 matches?
I mean, I think, not to say too much, but I mean, there's just like mistakes throughout the game. Like the first one, our early was terrible, or it was just a misplay. That one was fine. We thought we were supposed to win that game 100%. Then this one, I think we just failed to convert mid-game, which is our worst part of the team. But I think,
you definitely did have such a strong start. Like I believe it was like a 6-point lead, especially during the kills and during the gold as well. It was about 5k gold. So you did have that lead. It just seemed that near the end, as you said, during the mid game, it sort of slipped away. So, but I'm hoping to see that during these next few games that you're able to take the win, because Roehampton, you do have a lot of audience here, and they are cheering you on. I'm hearing them down here. They are loving you guys. How does it feel to kind of have that audience kind of backing you up?
I mean, it's amazing. I know these people from uni, and they're my friends, and I'm happy to see that they come here to watch us play. Yeah, it's not common that they do that, so yeah, no, it feels surreal, and I'm happy with the support.
Always great to have them out. So shout out to you, to the Roehampton fans that are here tonight, supporting your team. So we're gonna go into the next match. So fingers crossed. Hopefully it isn't going to be the last one. So I'm going to now let you go off, go with your team, have a quick breather. Hopefully have a rework of what you can do. But I hope to see you guys be able to take that win from LSE, because at the moment you get to hear them and they're being quite cocky. So I hope to see that you be able to say, let's humble you a little bit.
As I said, 3-2.
3-2. Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm now going to let you head off, and I hope to see a few more good matches coming ahead. Thank you very much. So that has been it for the interview. Thank you for being able to listen. I'm now going to head it over to an ad break where we get to see our fabulous sponsors who made this event available.
Hello and welcome back to the 2022 winter edition of the London University Esports Tournament. We're back for Game 3, myself, Takua, and Cookie to bring you the coverage, and LSE currently 2-0 after coming back from a deficit last game. It's now on Roehampton to try and make a comeback again. They were in the driver's seat last game. It was their game to lose, and unfortunately they did lose it with some mistakes in a late game team fight, but they looked really good last game for most of the game, and I think we're looking for them to keep up the act and try and equalise the score again. Try and make the reverse sweep happen.
Yeah, Roehampton early game looked really solid. It's just that they didn't really use their early lead to advance, to get more objectives, to kind of like inch by inch choke out LSE. They will have to work on that. I mean, it was definitely like a hell of a lesson last game. So they might draft similarly. Like, I don't think the draft was a problem. It's just kind of execution that they have to be mindful of.
And I think the other thing they have to be mindful of, just building on top of that, is a mental element. We sort of glossed over it last game, coming into Game 2, that you need to kind of keep up the stamina throughout the entire series. But I think it's particularly relevant here after that game, because what just happened was you were in a fairly commanding gold lead, and you lost one team fight, and it pretty much just went from there. The team fight around the Soul, where you got the Soul, but you gave LSE the Baron, and then that leads to the Elder Drake next, which you then ended up losing that team fight as well. Kind of just let LSE run away with the game, despite the fact that your top side was gapping, and the fact that your jungle was massively ahead for most of the game.
Despite Singasaurus doing really well last game, I don't want to see any set anymore. I haven't seen any kind of like impactful set plays in terms of like team fight. Yes, the 1v2s were very impressive. It's just that the champion's just not that good. Like, I don't know why there's such a pro on it.
Alright, well, we are into picks and bans this time. Roehampton, instead of going for the blue side, they have used their side selection to choose the red side this time around, to LSE on the blue side for the first time this game.
Again, similar bans. Looks like they have already pre-thought about the bans, so it will be quite straightforward. The Shen, the Aatrox coming out from Roehampton's side, and the Yasuo and the Pyke, and this time the Nami denying the Lucian Nami combo.
Interesting that the deny is this time on the side of LSE, having piloted it last time, but I suppose they didn't pilot the Lucian Nami necessarily quite as well as with the rest of the team, making a collective comeback. Still waiting on the first pick on the side of Roehampton, but the Kali will be banned away, sorry, first ban even, and the first pick will be the Lilia response, Remy having piloted it fairly well last game.
Yeah, running with the Lilia, not that bad. Oh, the Rengar coming out from Roehampton. I like it. I like that they're picking like these cheesy kind of like junglers, trying to assassin some LSE, but LSE responding with a Sire, which is like a lot safer, given that you don't get one shot by the Rengar with your ultimate Feathers Fly. I don't know what that actually name is.
The Featherstorm.
Featherstorm. Kaisen Thresh coming in from the Roehampton side, so fairly standard bot lanes, I would say.
Yeah, for the most part, Hemby a hook boy on a hook champion, as is per the name. Also reject back on the Nautilus this game, very comfortable pick for this support player. Yep, the Xayah, I do agree with you, nice and safe, and particularly into a Rengar Fresh where they have this sort of engage focus. The ability to be able to self-peel is very much appreciated.
The Ornn coming out, so focusing a bit more on scaling this time Roehampton. Ooh, where did Darius go? Go! Like Darius, absolutely. I don't have any words for it. It just so dominant over the Ornn. Ornn will not have a fun time laning against this Darius, and yes, Remy can think about where to play. He can play into the Darius lane. He can also like roam with the Vex for a 4-man bot lane as well. Like, given that Nautilus having that kill like hook pressure basically.
Equally spicy is the Vladimir, this time we piloted by Ice Blue on the side of Roehampton. huge scaling potential. I don't think it's going to be the funny the funny heart steal where you stack up the health with your blood pact passive, but no. Either way, with the awning conjunction and you have the sanguine pool as a sort of self peel tool, likewise to sort of dodge away from the Vex, maybe stall versus Darius. Also a major pick for Roehampton.
There's a reason though why Vladimir doesn't get picked a lot, is that you do lose out on your early mid prio. That means that Remy can kind of like run wild in a jungle and basically have more help than this Korokaz. So it's a weird one from Roehampton, a bit of a out of the left field, because you have a Rengar with basically 4 scaling champ, 3 scaling lanes there. So you kind of, Rengar has to make his own plays without kind of support from the teammates, apart from a recent fresh roams.
Yeah, and fresh roams, very much to be expected. NBA Hookboy this game so far, this series even, hasn't necessarily roamed as much as the player has historically in this tournament. But on the fresh, maybe a little bit more potential than beforehand to be able to perform on that case. And just being to support your Vladimir, or even just the jungle in general, is very useful to have for Roehampton.
For LSE side though, I can definitely see a lot of combo plays. Combining the Lilia Lullaby with the Vex, is a Shadow Dash the ultimate?
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah, the Vex ultimate, then it can be quite a deadly combo, quite a long range combo as well. So you can play off that, and obviously we talked about the really, really impactful, well, top lane might not be impactful in League of Legends, but in this game it can be with the Darius against the On matchup. So quite a few things to play around for Remy.
The Vex ultimate's called Shadow Surge, so almost there, I think. Shen's E, off the top of my head, might actually be called Shadow Dash or something like that. Similar. Shen's E, I know, has a very generic name as far as the two parts of the word, let's say, are concerned. But yeah, Vex, with the ability to do that, can also interrupt dashes, as you say, with the Rengar and the Kai'Sa running amok. But again, comes down to execution. That was the big issue for Roehampton last game. We're looking to see if they can execute as well. And just to recap again, it is that mental. LSE seeming to keep that up fairly well, having been in the deficit last time and able to make a comeback from that. That Elder Drake gambit very much paying off, giving the soul away to Roehampton in exchange for the Baron. Definitely worked out.
It definitely worked for LSE, and it just showcased like LSE mid game they have been playing the mid game immaculately, and Roehampton will have to think about how to play this game. Actually, you want your Vladimir to scale, you want your Ornn to scale, you want your Kai'Sa to scale, but do you have that much time? Like, will your lanes collapse before that happens? So they will have to come up with like some kind of turtle formation, trying to like deflect all the blows coming from LSE side.
Yeah, wait to see how the game plays out. As we say, just to bring it back to last game one more time, doesn't matter if you're in a lead, you still have to keep pushing the lead, or at least playing as you should given the game state to be able to maintain that. Spectator delay is currently coming to a close, and we'll just bring it to a short technical break to get the game synced up. And we are back onto the Rift right here for potentially the last time if Roehampton can actually claim the victory over LSE here. So a lot on the line, of course. Slight visual, like, weird jitteriness on the Rift just there, but it's fixed itself now. Of course, to claim the prize of too many monster cans, a bunch of RP, and of course some auto glitch energy vouchers. So a lot to play for. Roehampton needing to keep up some momentum from last game, where they did manage to gain a lot, but again, you have to execute.
Start just putting down some wards, trying to scout out the opposing team. Looks like no invades happening.
Yep, fairly standard, just as you mentioned. Very drawn back from both sides. Just making sure that you don't take any major risks. Although, having said that, NBA Hook Boy going into enemy jungle, Kez will spot it out. LSE are aware of this. They can try to collapse on this buff if they do so wish. Remy's still going to start up the chickens. Could be in for a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Not trying to... I mean, it does make sense not trying to fight Rengar around the brushes.
We're not meeting each other. Wait, he's level 2 first! Remy stole it!
What a disaster for Roehampton. Now... what does the Coral Cast do now? Going back to his own jungle to try to solo finish the buff? Looks like he has no other choice.
I'm lost for words right now. I mean, the Rengar really truly doesn't have a choice. You can't go into the rest of enemy jungle because you're level 1 and you have no chance. They'll be able to roam quicker than your team can. You now have to deal with your jungle as a setback. Dredgeline coming for into Little Dirk. That's already a flash blown. Mental of Roehampton seems to be in shambles after that play.
The classic level 2 play from the bot lanes. Not having the flash up, it's a big no-no that early on. That just means that the next hook will basically be fatal from ult push reject. Ooh, the cold cause getting a bit of trouble.
I mean, I think the person that's in trouble right here is Remy. Forcing to be backed out of the enemy jungle. Will live for the time being. Backing away. No, there's no way he does it again. There's no way. It can't be, folks. Okay, first blood still go over to the Rengar. Kez not able to get one flashed away. Nick now on the chase. One more auto will come up from the Vex. Wait, Vex can't actually quite get into range. Ice available. Darius popping the ghost. Now looking for Vladimir. Well-timed Sanguine pull will get him out. Nick's still potentially in trouble though. NBA Hook Boy here to help Flay away. And the Rengar gets out.
Wow, teamwork prevails, and everyone from Roehampton trying to save the kitty cat from getting chased down by the big bad Darius.
No way, come on, okay, smite away, heal back, there's the Rengar W, there's no, surely not, no, the Ignite from Oxford to reject the Nautilus. Still able to secure a kill, a little bit greedy from the cat. Almost got out just there, but the support coming in clutch.
Nick chasing down Suchosaurus actually. The bleed is stacked and forcing a flash.
Chaos in this early game right now. Kills everywhere. I mean, well, it's only 2 kills at the end of the day, but it sure feels like there's been a lot more skirmishing than just 2 kills.
Yeah, definitely feels like there's a lot been happening. Remy going for the mid lane.
Swansea connects. Sanguine Pool should be available for Ice Blue unless he used it earlier in the lane. Seemingly just got it off cooldown enough to escape, but a flash exhausted.
Yeah, not going quite well for Roehampton the early game. A lot of summoners have already been blown, so Ice Blue missing his flash, Lil Dirk, the flash will come in around 2 minutes. So that means a lot of window for Remy to do more of ganking and less of farming. But Remy, honestly, quite happily, Lilia quite happily doing both, really.
Okay, was a big clear advantage, partly coming from the stolen red buff early on, and the fact that Rengar hasn't necessarily been able to clear his jungle quite as he might like. Of course, the first blood offsetting that ever so slightly. Deskro helping out Ice Blue a little bit to get that crash after the gank. Very kind of him to do so again, something we have seen Deskro do multiple times throughout the series, but again, offsetting is clear even further.
Yeah, we can definitely see the CS difference here. Remy at 37, quite ahead of the Korkos, who's just about to approach 23 right now. And the game, even though with all that chaos like early game, now is fairly standard League of Legends where the laners kind of duke it out and the junglers are kind of farming right now. The Cold Cause really wants his level 6 and also needs some items. We'll go for a lane gag, trying to catch out Nick.
Shouldn't be spotted there after the cannon was taken, but I think Darius is in a relatively safe position, so at the very least able to hover and guarantee on a potential crash. Will go in though, knock up, unable to connect. Remy available. There comes the call of the Forge God onto Nick, nets them a kill. Stegosaurus gonna pick that one. Discro going in one more time with a dash from the Rengar, but I think a little bit too much damage coming out from Lilia to dissuade any further advances.
Yes, not quite going as well for Nick. Also not having a TP, that just means that you have to like do that walk of shame back to lane after getting killed in the gank. Not the biggest of deal though. Darius still have a lot of base damages. Even if you're like 10-15 CS behind, you can still handily 1v1 duel the Ornn. I think Stegosaurus only just leveled up when he got the kill, right? So kind of a lucky level up, or calculated maybe. But in any case, both junglers going back to their semi full clears, and maybe looking for more opportunistic ganks in a few minutes.
Precisely that. Was able to give a little up mid lane, but did have the main advantage, wasn't the crash, so it was kind of bound to happen. Nick should have expected it, but I don't think he could have really done much with the extra damage Rengar was able to provide. But I think it does pose a question even for Nick's performance in this series yet again.
Yeah, Hookboy getting spotted out here by Remy. Just gonna probably just hang back, going back to the bot lane.
Hex
Might
flash!
have fight here.
Root from the auto, sleepy time coming through. Rengar gonna be put to sleep as well, but you are outnumbered. Remy gonna go down first. Oxbridge reject the next target. Will go down, a double kill handed over to Iceboo in the mid lane, but Nick gonna pick up a solo kill.
Again, chaos everywhere. In the end, it's a kind of a 2-for-2 like on the overall map state. But looks like Roehampton will be able to try to not going to start the dragon, but the Cold Cause deciding to go for his buff instead.
Well, chaos rearing its head once more. This time in the bot side jungle. Very positive for Roehampton, evening out the gold lead to exactly dead even. Of course, Nick still getting his revenge back in the top side versus the Ornn. You can always never really count out the Noxian Guillotine. You have to be very careful when those hemorrhage stacks start stacking up onto you. But nevertheless, Vladimir scaling accelerated.
Yeah, having those 2 kills, that means he will be able to like get his CDR items a lot sooner. I think we don't do this anymore, but famously Vladimir used to have the garage sale build where you just rush a lot of CDR. But nowadays having that mythic is more important, so we'll probably see him going for the Night Harvester fairly soon once he gets it back. Both junglers a bit of farm fest at the moment. It's like chaos, but it's also, never mind, it is chaos.
Yep, there goes the CC of Little Duck, saved by the Lantern.
LSE Dog does pay the exhaust to try to slow down. Ooh, the Ornn coming in.
Goes wide. Deskro on the chase there, a little bit more damage from the Rengar, able to slay Lilia handedly. Remy getting punished for starting up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, Lilia, not the best champions into Rengar. Rengar very easily can jump into rage provided there are brushes nearby. Hookboy trying to defend this turret, but only getting level 6 now. And Lil Dirt is going for a recall. Ooh,
wait.
The Cold Cause actually getting...
Okay. Deskro did actually manage to secure that. Might die for it though, but Darius will be outnumbered. Flash away. Can't actually get over the wall now though. Here comes the collapse from the rest of Roehampton. Inevitably should be enough damage to kill Nick. Kez could come in with that Shadow Surge, but will decide not to.
Another kill to Vladimir. I I'm not expecting this. I'm not expecting Vladimir to get so many early kills. As you said, it will just accelerate Vladimir by a lot. And you see the Night Harvest coming in, and honestly, we see Vladimir as a late game champion, but I think we'll see him a lot more often in these fights. Meanwhile, LSE starting off the Inferno Dragon.
I just found that quite funny there that Hookboy was able to steal away the Rift Scuttler because Remy's burn didn't quite kill it, left it on 5 HP, so yoink right there. But yeah, nevertheless, you get the Infernal Drake in your pocket, very nice to have. But as we saw last game, Dragon stacking isn't necessarily a win con if you aren't able to keep up the pressure. But I hope Roehampton should be able to do so with that Night Harvester, as you mentioned, now complete on Ice Blue.
The Coral Cause also completing the Dust Plate, one of the quite important items for Rengar. Looking to see might he do more plays, especially when the Thrill of the Hunt is up.
Certainly, Mythic is well completed. Deskro looking for more. Now, still not having evened up the farm from the early deficit that was made. Oxford's Retix in a lot of trouble, actually, panning straight back to mid lane. Should be able to stay alive, but no Ice Boost. Flash Q. Able to pick that one up. And another one in the top side. Nick falling yet again.
So now 4 kills to Vladimir now. So quite a lot of kills going into the right hands for Roehampton. Rengar and Vladimir can be this really unstoppable duo, while Rengar can just be assassinating people and Vladimir can just dominate in the team fights. The Rift Herald will be summoned in the top lane, getting a bit more plays for Signosaurus.
Of course, also donates a little bit of gold as well to the Rengar in the jungle. Stegosaurus XP being the more important factor for the Ornn as always, but splitting the gold, always nice. Extra gold in the pocket can never hurt. 2,000 towards Roehampton.
Haven't seen much of Kez lately. LSE might have to look to rotate a bit more as a team. All these fights have been like Roehampton having the numerical advantage. So now they're in kind of like a situation where they have to make some plays before the scaling of Roehampton takes over. The Ornn, I mean Rengar isn't really scaling, but the Vladimir, the big one, the really scary one. So I would look forward to Kez trying to make some plays in the side lane.
Okay. Doing fairly well, yeah. This is the thing about Vex. You have an ability to dash in from quite a long range if you manage to land the skill shot. That is an incredibly helpful tool when it comes to the fact that you have fairly solid CC in the bot side, which can be even followed up by your ADC, pulling back some feathers to root. Deskro coming in. Roehampton may be looking for something for, able to collapse, but backs away in the end as they realise the Vex has matched the roam. But again, all eyes on Vladimir. Last time when Ice Blue was this far ahead, they were piloting an Akali, and pretty much single-handedly carried Roehampton to victory that time round.
Yeah, I mean Vladimir is definitely more a stationary champ than Akali if we look at mobility-wise, but obviously having that face rush and ghost will help Ice Blue to get into these crucial fights. The Coral Cause in the bot lane trying to hover for something.
Ooh. That was so well timed from Stegosaurus. Truly mechanical execution on point for this top lane of this game. Seeming to beat out Nick in every single way, despite not necessarily being ahead right now, but taking it very well as the tank in this matchup.
Yeah, you would expect kind of like Ornn to be suffering a little bit more in this matchup, but Stegosaurus is pretty much chilling. Sunfire Cape completed, and just gonna keep on playing the Wee Side King. Dragon coming up. Oh, Stegosaurus might be in trouble though.
Remy's available, but the engage doesn't come through. Double knock up, Nick flashing away from the auto Shadow Surge, not gonna connect. Here comes the Lilting Lullaby. There's the Eep and the Blooming Blows to finish the kill off. Two ghosts pop. There's the Rengar coming in. Ultimate available on the hunt. Ice Blue will pick up another kill. 5-0-1 to the Vladimir, and another play gets punished.
Yeah, as we talk about the dynamic duo from the Vlad and the Rengar, really scary, and I'm not quite sure how LSE is gonna deal with this. Like, the goal is fairly modest, around 2k, but at the same time, these Fed members are so hard to deal with from LSE side.
Yeah, no, Ice Blue on the Vlad. Vlad, notorious for being a champion that is frustrating to gank or shut down purely by virtue of the W giving you that invincibility and movement in the meantime. Very annoying. Aside from the healing that Hemoplague gives you, you drop the Hemoplague first, you get the delay heal, but you can delay with the W, and eventually if you get Zhonya's online, be able to proc that as well as the Drake gets started up.
Yeah, that will be the the second Drake, but the first one for Roehampton. An Ocean Dragon can never hurt, but Dragon might not be the main stage of this game right now. The main stage is definitely this 4-2 and 5 Rengar and this 5-0-1 Vladimir. Lil Dirt might be in trouble.
Okay, engage comes through, well timed and well layered. Easy kill.
Yeah, that's what LSE needs. Need to make some cheeky little plays to kind of crawl back from this gold deficit. The Call card's going to the Rift Herald, starting it up.
Okay, at least you get something. Matching the map from the top side when you lose out the bottom side. Exactly what you like to see from Roehampton. Maybe looking for a pick onto Kez, at least give it a try and be a hook boy. Not able to go for a death sentence right there, but again, you didn't really commit anything, so you don't really lose anything either.
Yeah, different from last game. Roehampton, with this lead, doesn't have to do anything, just because their champions scale a lot better. Given Vladimir and Kai'Sa will still be scaling, even though not ahead. And also with the Ornn items, they don't have to push as hard as they were when they were playing Caitlyn Lux. But still, when you can fight with this really strong Vladimir, like, I don't think Vladimir's like challenged in any way in this point of the game. So probably still be able to do some mid-game fights.
I think Roehampton right now really want to wait out a little bit more gold. Ice Blue very close to Rabadon's death cap, 10 Magi stacks on the table. Once you hit that mark, you get a lot of AP. With a lot of AP, as the way that Vladimir plays, you get a lot of health back as well, so it'll be a huge power spike, and I think Roehampton are aiming to take a fight once Ice Blue has that in his inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. Waiting for power spikes is one of those things that you don't really... It's like if both teams are on kind of like a similar, like one team is on 2 items, the other on 2.5 items, then the GOAT lead is not as big as it seems. But obviously if one team is on 2.5, the other team on 3 items, then the power spike does show the difference in power in fighting. But looks like Hookboy might try to do some vision and bot. Will be spotted out by the pink ward. A bit of a top lane skirmish top lane.
Yep, slight scuffle between the 2 top laners, nothing will come of it in the end. Few hemorrhage stacks, or just kind of shrugs that off. Very much both teams jostling around, seeing if they can make a play anywhere. Roehampton maybe looking for something mid. Here comes the engage, flash forward. Responded by Featherstorm. Hemoplague will still go down, but LSE Dog lives for the moment. Oxford reject, there's one Shadow Surge. Reset coming through. Deskro gets one in return, but will sacrifice his life. 2 kills to LSE.
Yeah, but... Ooh, more action going on.
Okay, Little Dirk flashing away. Ice Blue on the run as well. No more kills secured, but LSE getting something back.
Yeah, that play was a bit too forced from Roehampton's side. At least they didn't give the 500 gold bounty from Ice Blue over. But that means the gold lead is now 500 gold exactly. Well, 400 gold now. So very close from both teams.
Evenly matched, as has been for the last 2 games, although has tilted in LSE's favour at at the most crucial moment of the game. Still looking to see if Roehampton can equalise. Remember, folks, that if LSE do secure this win, that is a 3-0 victory, and they will be crowned the winners of the first series of the London University's Esports tournament. So again, everything is on the lines, and you do have to perform as intended.
I wonder if LSE will try to even contest this dragon. They do have the vision over the bot side dragon pit while Herald gets spawned. But obviously, if you look at the item, you see this Vladimir with the death cap. You probably don't want to go near it. And honestly, for LSE, they have to decide what they want to do with this.
Nautilus almost finding themselves in a little bit of trouble. Oracle Lens used. Scouted out, Hex Flash channeled, Hook Boy looking for something on the side, but will not find anything. Although, the Apprehend almost nailing down Deskro, flashing away from the dredge line. Both teams, again, jostling for position, but nothing coming out of it.
Yeah, Roehampton holding on the mid lane position, also Herald bringing in the wave top lane as well. Looks like Roehampton is going for the Baron call.
This is potentially very risky. There is vision on it, both on the Barret itself and from the Scuttler, so LSE will know.
Not quite a fast Baron tick, but maybe just enough before people come.
For the Forge God, Roehampton get it, but can they get away? Apprehend onto 2. Lilting Lullaby to follow, 2 kills on the platter for LSE. Dredgeline and the Depth Charge will net them free. I don't know if they can get the last 2. The chase is on. Kez able to follow. Shadow Surge connects. There's the Flea. CC onto Stegosaurus. Stegosaurus should fall in due course. And Ice Blue, the Vladimir, who is unkilled so far, the only survivor.
Yeah, that's not a worth. A very nice flash apprehend from Nick. Starting the fight, allowing Remy to run in and basically sleep quite a few members of Roehampton. Now, LSE will just take this tower, take off the jungle, and probably put some pressure on the tier 2 in the bot lane as well if they wish to.
Huge victory in the end, and a massive donation of gold at the end of the day to boot. Tower opening up the paths potentially for something in the future in the mid lane. Of course, Ice Blue, still alive, still 10 Dark Seal stacks, still amazingly ahead on this Vladimir. Of course, it was a burger flip Baron that we just had, and it was not a particularly great flip. But Ice Blue has not been neutered in any way, shape, or form yet. So Roehampton's hope is to play for this Vladimir, and I need to see them do this.
Absolutely. All hopes, not all hopes. I mean, half the hopes are on Ice Blue right now. The other half is hoping this Coral Cause doing some assassination, looking for any vulnerable members on LSE side. But for LSE, there are not many vulnerable members, except for maybe Hez. Darius and Lilia both have the Jack Show completed, giving them a lot of tankiness, basically out of nowhere. Which can be quite troublesome if this Coral Cause wants to try to find a vulnerable target.
Certainly have to watch for positioning. That is a vulnerable target. Zaya's ultimate now down. Featherstorm actually quite a long cooldown as far as ultimates go, so very relevant if you decide to take the fight within the next minute and a half.
Also, Roehampton does eke back some of the vision now, and now Nick might be overextending.
Nope, Blast Cone's away to safety. Nothing found.
The extended blast cones as well, super far. And LSE is just going to take the top lane tower, given that Roehampton's most members are kind of in the bottom of the map. But, ooh, ultimate coming down from Rengar.
Oh, little kitty on the prowl looking for somebody to hunt. Will not find anyone, should expire shortly. Unfortunate, no prey for the hunter to collect, and nothing on the Bone Tooth necklace. I'm not sure how many stacks is completed on that. Actually, I'll see if I can check. briefly, if it would let me. Come on, spectator. Let's see. Where's Frosty? Come on, give me the stacks. 4 kills. So almost complete.
Yeah, not too bad. And for Roehampton, I think they kind of need a direction. They have been playing quite reactively, just reactively going to defend a top tower after it's fallen. Reactively, I mean, the Baron play was risky, but looks like mid game they kind of just sit around and do stuff, which is fine, but they could do a bit more, I feel, especially with a strong Rengar.
Something else worth noting is the ornaments are now online. Ice Blue having access to the Night Harvester upgrade from Stegosaurus. More of those to come as Ornn levels up, looking to soak as much XP as possible in the bot side.
Rengar and Vladimir actually trying to threat the inhib tower, perhaps giving away the dragon positioning and probably just giving the dragon perhaps for person.
Oh, that's a Shadow Surge coming down. No tower shot to tank though, and Deskara will get out just fine and dandy.
And Kess probably just have to like fall back now, given that 3 members of Roehampton hitting this turret, breaking up the base of LSE.
It is still a sacrifice though. Soul point available now. We did mention last game it was a similar case where Roehampton were the ones that managed to get the soul in the end, but LSE winning the game with the Elder and the Baron fights, so maybe we might see another turning of the cards where Roehampton tries to do the same thing LSE did last game.
Cam Tank Soul can be quite good for LSE though. Like, Darius really likes the Cam Tank Soul. Lilia probably quite like the Cam Tank Soul as well, given that she can survive for quite some while, and I would expect her to build Hourglass later on. Building towards that now probably, unless she's going for Frozen Heart, which it's just a disgusting item, but I'm not ruling it out.
I mean, both are definitely viable options this game. So wait and see exactly what happens, but for the moment, both teams trying to get themselves a little bit more gold. Need the money right now, and in the case of Ornn needs the XP, has upgraded the Kraken Slayer as well for Lil Durk. Bork also completed, so Cafe Rain of course upgraded, well upgraded by now, with the Supercharger as well should be available as an upgrade, I think.
Yeah, Lil Durk haven't had any of the kills. That just means that you can see that he's basically a whole item behind on.
Oh no.
Ooh, Baron start again.
Alright. Here we go again, round 2, the Salty Run Back edition. Let's see. Will it be a bait this time, or what else will happen? Core the Forge God will connect onto 2 members, but there is no engage. There's the engage from LSE though, countered with the Apprehend, damage to come through. Shadow Surge number 1, the damage to follow. Featherstorm coming through. Ice Blue still alive, but unable to do any significant damage to the side of LSE. 1 kill onto the support, Nick next to follow. 1 Q will do the trick, an R and an auto. Ticking, burning down. That's the shutdown onto Ice Blue finally, and a huge momentum swing for LSE.
Absolutely, they're just gonna take the Baron and break the base of Roehampton now. It's such an interesting call. They haven't been trying to proactively do things on the map, and suddenly they just want to go for the Baron, and that really cost Roehampton a lot. Like, Roehampton, although having a Rengar, still wants this like organized fight. The Call of the Forge God was used a little bit too early, and yeah, in the end, it's tough for Roehampton, but they also have to be more patient. And now, given they have a 7k deficit, they might have to be more creative.
Well, let's just put it this way. LSE were the team in the deficit last game. This time, roles are reversed. Very, very similar position to be in, save for the fact that LSE have the Baron this time. However, Elder is going to be on the cards very soon. It isn't on the cards just yet because Roehampton were able to get that one Drake. But if LSE do secure this soul, if Roehampton get a pick like they're trying to get right now, Oxford Reject should go down handedly. Very easy. Deskro getting another kill. That's what you want to see if you're a Roehampton fan. More of this, more objectives. That's how you come back into the game.
Yeah, especially when LSE has the Baron. Getting a pick is really nice. Oh, they're going for this objective bounty as well.
No defense available. LSE's numbers are split across the map.
That's some gold going back into Roehampton's pocket, so the gold lead has shrunk to around 5.5k from 7k. Not too bad for Roehampton, but considering that your mid inhib is like open, that just means that LSE have a lot of like resources to take. Like you can't even farm your own jungle anymore. Like you will get economically choked a bit. But I think with NBA Hookboy and this cold cast, they have to try to step up and try to like make more of these picks happen. Then they can come back from the game.
Okay. 27 seconds left on the Drake. Remy lands onto one. Hookboy does get it, but this is a level 17 Lilia. Last cone to disengage. The positioning is in the favor of LSE. There goes the Blade Storm, but Deskro gets rooted up. Cleansed away by the W. No Mistral Bolt gonna land. Roehampton still in a strong position.
Roehampton, even they're kind of zoned away from the dragon, not being able to find a flank. They might just try to walk in with the Orn.
Death sentence. There goes the engage. Soul goes to LSE, but can Roehampton make the fight? Deskro gonna chunk out one member. First kill goes down towards LSE. Hookboy goes down. So does Deskro and Stegosaurus. LSE seeming to clean up the kills out of nowhere. The damage and the gold lead slightly too much. Baron buff still available on the members. They might be able to end. There's a wave in the base already.
Yeah, that should be the end with the ace coming in, and the next NBA Hookboy 20 seconds. Lil Durk 30 seconds. LSE is just gonna march towards the base and take it down.
Wow, that was a sudden ending to say the least, but at the end of the day, LSE did play the better game, and this therefore means that LSE will be the champions of the first edition of the Winter 2022 London University Esports Tournament. Congratulations.
Congratulations to LSE and commiserations to Roehampton. LSE played very, very patiently, and basically it was very, very good macro and micro as well, so very well deserved.
Wow. 3 games where LSE maybe had a pretty convincing number 1, number 2 was very close, and with the early game here was a little bit shaky, I would imagine, but in the end, the stamina, the vitality of LSE pulled through in the end. Commiserations to Roehampton. They had such an amazing run throughout the tournament, beating the tournament favourites, in fact, in the last round, but LSE on the other side of the brackets, having taken down UCL, who did take down Roehampton. I guess the power triangle did end up working out as the narrative dictated.
It did, and we can see that even though LSE was playing kind of the same compositions for like all 3 games, they kind of have, they're just really practice in their composition. How are they strong? When do they engage? How to manipulate the vision, where and when. So just well deserved, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, one team will always perform better than the other. That's just how it is. There are multiple factors that go into winning a best of 5, but there's not really much analysis to be had other than one team did just play better than the other when it came down to the moments where they needed to perform.
And we are going into an interview soon?
Yeah, I'll be shortly going into an interview, of course, provided by Brilliant Frame. Once again, we'll have the tournament winners in play. We're just kind of trying to sort out getting everybody in frame right now. You can kind of hear the background noise, but I'm going to transition it over now.
Right, what we'll probably have to do is maybe swallow the two of you going in, like probably kneel down just so you get just a little bit in. Just a little bit best of the moment, but we gotta get the whole team in. LSE, what a match we had today. Such great plays. And it seems like you came here, you wanted to take over, you did not let Roehampton take it for a second. A 3-0 victory. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, we're feeling good. I mean, in our scrims, we were 0-3 by some like Spanish team, so we were feeling very confident that we will win here. But yeah, I'm very happy to.
You got 0-3 and you're feeling confident.
Yeah, of course. Because we knew Roehampton was strong, but we had a massive jungle gap. So yeah,
Of course.
Yeah, it was a great pace and such amazing to watch, especially Remy, you popping off like we were all cheering you down and we could hear you from upstairs just shouting. It was honestly, we could hear it all downstairs, we could hear it for word, but it was amazing to watch. And again, congratulations to you guys. You are now the London Esports champions. You are the winners. How is that feeling for you guys?
I mean, it feels really good. I mean, I think our game plan was really good. Like, we had a very clear game plan what to ban, because they had some like one tricks where we knew if they banned them, then they'd be way less useful. Yes. So like the pike.
I didn't really like our drafts. I think I just bet over.
Yeah, I mean that too. We just bet over.
True.
Yeah.
Just bet over.
Looking into game 2, where it was like they kind of Roehampton give you a bit of a struggle, especially at the start.
At the start of the
especially that Caitlyn, we saw that she was able to get that poker damage, and you wasn't able to get there. But was that something you was expecting during this matchup?
Yes. Oh yeah, I mean, I think the game was going well until about 3 minutes, and then Alex.
So the game was not going well.
Made some questionable plays, and then after that, I couldn't play the game for 25 minutes. Luckily, we had a great mental fortitude from this guy, and so we won.
Yeah. Overall, guys, been watching you since the start. You guys have been popping off. As we were when it was in the platform, you guys were nailing it. Absolutely showing who it is, and now you've come here. You have won the finals, and now you get to have those grand prizes from Riot, from the vouchers, and you get a few monsters. So I'm glad to see that you guys have come this far and able to get the victory. So are we gonna, guys? So how are you guys feeling? Are you going to be continue practicing, and will we see you next time?
We're retiring. Retirement home. Yep.
Are you sure you guys don't want to come back, hold that championship? Because apparently we might be having a few more teams coming in for the next season.
I mean, no, I have an exam tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. So.
Well, good luck on that exam. Again, congratulations, you guys. You did amazing. And again, congratulations on the win of being the London University Esports champions for today. You gave yourselves, you did amazing work. Thank you very much for joining us. Joining us.
GG.
Thank you.
Right, and I'll let you now go get some sleep so you can go do your exam in the morning.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Cheers, lads. And Dan, I can tell you're happy. LSE, they brought it home. They was able to bring it back for you. They did such an amazing job. How are you feeling during this?
I mean, it was a good game to cast. I mean, obviously it's nice for the university matches to get that win as well, but at the end of the day, I think there were exciting games. Roehampton definitely did bring a skill today. I mean, Nick did get gapped most games. I hate to say it, you did get gapped today. Sorry, mate. You did lose out in most matchups.
Oh, well, some fighting talk, but it has been such an amazing final today. Not as much as we expected. We didn't expect it to be such a 3-0, but nevertheless, we did have a good few matches, especially that second game, where it seemed that Roehampton had a bit of a lead with LSE. So fair to say that even though Roehampton lost, they did put up a very good fight. And especially with all their matches they've had throughout this tournament, both teams have shown they have the sport and they are able to take it for the wins, but LSE yet again able to take the championships. So you guys, when you get back to LSE, are you going to have a little victory celebration parade?
Well, we'll see. I don't know about get back, but this Wednesday, because recently in Div 3 Valorant we also managed to win the championship today for that. So we kind of had a double whammy. So I think most of our committee, someone sent a message earlier, we might have to order some pizza, come out to Society Funds and celebrate on Wednesday. So.
Yeah, it seems like LSE are on the victory roll tonight. Have you got any more championships for Valorant for LSE that you know about?
No, unfortunately not. I think our Overwatch team is non-existent, so that's just not something that's happening. But nevertheless, you get 2 wins, so you can't really be sad about that. So.
No, you definitely can't. 2 championships, 2 wins. LSE are looking to be high in the sky with their wins, but Yeah, thank you very much for this event, and you have been amazing. Pretty much throwing us through the dirt, pulling us through, making sure that the stream has been working. So on stream and people watching over on the beanbags, give Dan a massive round of applause, because pretty much most of this wouldn't be possible without him. So again, we have to say a massive thank you for you.
Very kind words, but I have to say the same about this guy, because he has been getting the interviews every single time, also running up people and doing some admin bits and bobs. So trust me, he's been doing just as much behind the scenes as I have. So, again, round of applause.
Well, it's a bit of a show of love, and I know Kuda, you're probably watching right now. Thanks to you for making this whole thing possible. And guys, we cannot wait to see you for Season 2 next year. So make sure to be in our Discord and make sure on our Instagram, so you get to see the latest and greatest of what teams will be coming up and what changes will be happening with this tournament. But make sure you're in those, make sure you follow us on our Instagrams and our Discords. And again, thank you to all of our sponsors that was able to make this event possible. I'm now going to send it back over to the stream so they can sign us off.
Alright, thank you so much, Brilliant Frame, for that one. Huge thank you to everyone, and of course also Cookie right here for being the caster between us, the colour of the last few games. Massive props. How did you enjoy that series?
Oh, it was amazing seeing these really high-level League of Legends playing by university students. It's very enjoyable to watch, enjoyable to cast as well, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I hope everybody watching at home will also enjoy just as much as everyone did here today. In person, and knew better. But, you know, with the glory also comes the end of the 2022 series of the London University Esports. So, there might be another series. We'll wait until see what 2020-23 brings. As we
there will be another series.
Yeah.
Will we be branching into other games or League of Legends only?
I mean, we'll have to see the announcements to come for sure, but at the moment, unless the tournament organizer here has anything to say.
I've got nothing to say, but we'll see what happens next year. It's going to be amazing. We should have 16 different universities. Just come back. It's going to be great, you know what I mean? The more the merrier, the better we can, you know, the more people, the better. I don't know, man. It's going to be sick, seriously.
Massive props to everyone, of course, behind the scenes, being able to make everything work. But I hope you'll be here to join us next year. But that'll be it from us, LUE, signing off for the 2022 season. Stay healthy and stay safe.